2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, Tony Dunn, the professor, here again on a Tuesday night talking the Carolina Panthers from latest news and opinions from the fan perspective. I do it each and every week with my homeboys. What's up, Cody Lashney? How are you?
Tony Dunn, I'm good, man. Listen, this is probably as far as news is concerned, it's the doldrums. There's not really much to talk about. We're kind of having to scour the deepest recesses of Panthers Twitter and news to find something to build the show tonight. But even in spite of that, there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here chilling with my boys, Tony and CK, hanging out with the best damn Panther fans and all of YouTube. You already know them and love them, Tony. It's our man Adam Sanders, our man Drew. What's up, Drew? Blake Bettis, The Real Zero Chill, Leon Hart. What's up, Lynn? Panther Pickle, my Friday free-for-all faithful, Sideshow Rob, White Chocolate Espresso, the boy Kevin, Janelles, Andrew Fields, D'Angelo, the legend, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
CK in the house. How you doing, my friend?
Listen, can I tell you guys one thing that's really exciting?
Sure.
3 weeks until training camp, baby.
Oh, my God.
Let's go.
Thank God. We really
I can only
need
get so
football.
erect.
Easy there, buddy. Settle down.
I can't.
Is that we do really need some football in our lives. I saw Mel Mayock put out a picture today on Twitter that said there's 2 seasons, football season and waiting for football season. The but this is, I got to say that in the 10 years that we've been doing this podcast, this might be the most quiet 3 weeks of news period for the Carolina Panthers. Even with this continued Mayfield talk, it's still that's the only possible thing. So thank you, Robbie Anderson.
If it wasn't for people like us.
Yeah. and Robbie Anderson, you feel me?
Yeah, shout out Robbie, man. You feel me? Hey, I feel him. Shout out to Robbie, you feel me?
We're going to get into tonight. Tonight's show is You Feel Me, where we're going to be kind of sifting through the doldrums of this lack of news cycle. We'll do some fun things like we did in the past week. We built last year we built an offensive squad, right? Last week we built an offensive squad. This week we'll be building a defensive squad. We got $15 to spend, and who I'm spending my first $5 on. You know that. But so we got that. I want to talk about wide receiver. For some reason, like wide receiver is sexy. It's a sexy position. So we'll go through and try to rank or try to figure out who's got the best wide receiver groups in the NFL. You can go to Our Lads. I'm going to share the screen in just a second and sort by the position. So that's pretty cool. Like if you go to ourlads.com, you can look at every they'll put all the receiving cores for all teams kind of like in order, not in order, but like in together. So that'll be cool. Robbie Anderson news. And what else do we got to talk about tonight, Cody?
So Baker Mayfield.
I mean, there's more Baker.
I know, man. Dude, it's a perpetual hell of Baker Mayfield news and stories. But we do have a story about Baker Mayfield urged to avoid the Panthers' hornet's nest in potential trade. And I think this just adds to that whole discussion that we've known for a while. And the Carolina Panthers are no one's first stop. It's on the top of no one's list. You know, if you're making a choice, you're not necessarily choosing to come to the Carolina Panthers because of all of the chaos that's been surrounding this football team in the past couple of years. Not only with the coaches, but now you have everything with David Tepper and this Rock Hill fiasco. That's a weird thing. All the things, you know, with us wanting Deshaun Watson, not being able to land him, and having one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL penciled in to be your starter. It's like there's a reason why we're the butt of jokes when it comes to the quarterback position.
I tell you, if you look at what this just tells us, this article alone is the epitome of they don't have anything to talk about either. We already talked about this last week, and that is was Carolina the worst destination for Mayfield? And there's an argument to be made that it's not. The continued problem, though, will be surrounding the uncertainty of the head coach with Matt Rule. So we'll get into that. We want to get your calls in. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. I was thinking about this. Well, first, we ask everybody to support the show by subbing up, hitting the thumbs up button, the like button. You can also, if you find it kind enough in your heart to donate, you can find ways to donate both scrolling across the bottom directly to us or using the super chat. And I was thinking we got some plans on maybe doing some things with the Patreon this coming year with the I thought CK gave a good idea about potentially Patreon getting first dibs on the call line. How about this is maybe we could pilot something like if you super chat, we'll move your call up, you know, and there's no minimum for that. Just any donation could be considered cause to move up the call line, but still. This isn't that's the only time we're going to mention it in the show. And we want to get in and talk some football. So let's do it. You feel me?
You feel me?
All right. I guess we got to start with it. Robbie Anderson.
Yep.
I know you got the video. Let's see. It's like Robbie Anderson is waging. Robbie Anderson's sensitive right now. And here, let's set it up a little bit. All right. Let's set up this discussion about what's been going on with Robbie Anderson. Is that Robbie comes here 2 years ago when Matt Rule comes in. It's a kind of a free agent. Well, it's not it's a free agent acquisition. He had an opportunity to stay with the Jets. I think the Panthers were able to, or I guess it seemed like he picked the Carolina Panthers, maybe because of that relationship with Matt Rule. Matt Rule was his coach in Temple and kind of went to bat for him to get him, keep him eligible to play or bring him back. Robbie Anderson comes in and you expect him to be kind of a Deshaun Jackson type player, right? That was kind of a lot what he was with the Jets, and that is a home run hitter, stretch the field. You expect his stat line on a great game to be something like, or at least I was forecasting his stat line to be like 3 catches, 86 yards and a touchdown, so like one really big play and then a couple of 12-yard catches. Then Robbie Anderson comes in Joe Brady's first year of an offensive coordinator, and when all the things, we were so happy, guys. We were so excited in that first season because you bring in Teddy Bridgewater. We weren't excited about that, but at the same time, you had 2,000-yard receivers. Robbie Anderson did not have any big plays. He had one big play in the beginning of the year, and then he became a possession receiver. Hit 1,000 yards, right? Put up a decent amount of touchdowns, I think, or had a few touchdowns. He's had 8 as a Carolina Panther, I believe. Then last year, the first few weeks, the dropsies, right? Yeah, the first few weeks were tough for Robbie Anderson. Frustration set in. There's a popular video of him yelling on the sideline at Sam Darnold in frustration. And then he kind of becomes going from a fan favorite of what's that bear doing to what's that idiot doing, right? A lot of fans are now sniping at him. Trade him. And he's become kind of, I won't say a punching bag, but a lot of fans have veered a different or changed their perspective on Robbie Anderson. And Robbie Anderson is listening, folks. He is listening. Oh, we forgot to mention there was a slight holdout. Not holdout, but, kind of some tough negotiating last offseason after that 1,000-yard season, and he gets and secures. He secured the bag. He got a 3-year deal, very reputable money. And then as soon as we paid that, people were like, overpay. You get the overpay crowd.
A lot of people were really disappointed when we signed him, but we felt like it was kind of unnecessary. A lot of people thought that
first.
Yeah, people thought it should have been for DJ. A lot of different takes to be had around this, but let's just let's play the video. You feel me?
Well, today he hit Instagram. I believe it was from today.
Yeah, he hit up the IG live, and he wanted to make sure y'all could feel him.
Yeah, for all you motherfuckers sleeping.
Language warning, by the way, as if you didn't already know that coming to this show.
On me. You feel me? I'm gonna show y'all that. Last time, y'all count me out because y'all know how I'm stepping, y'all know how I'm rocking. You feel me? Straight up. Ain't playing, and that's what it is. All that little, you feel me? Nonsense and all that little BS can't stop me. Won't stop me. Never did, never will. You feel me? I came in this bitch with nothing. You feel me? You feel me? And that's how I'm still rocking like I ain't got nothing. You feel me? And that's the difference. You feel me? I ain't had no handout, no red carpet, no none of that. You feel me? And that's why I'm rocking how I'm rocking, you feel me? And ain't nobody gonna stop because I'm a rocket, you hear me? I take off and that's that, you feel me? Straight up. Y'all got me fucked up, you feel me? And I ain't playing. All that little fuck ass shit motherfuckers be on, I don't condone none of that, you feel me? I don't be on none of that, you feel me? And that's why I be at, away from all that fuck shit, you feel me? And I gets it in. I do what I got to do, and I grind for mine. And that's facts, you feel me? Straight up. I got me fucked up. I'm gonna show y'all that what time it is.
That's it, man.
That was it. And you know what is I don't even really care. First, we got to talk about it because there ain't nothing else to talk about. Number one. So really, I'm not dumping or celebrating Robbie Anderson at this moment. My bigger question to you guys is, do you think there's something going? Is this oriented at fans only? Right? Is this the fans have been a little hard on him on social media, or in that case, you see people look, even in the chat, somebody goes, he needs to learn how to catch. Then you got, is this directed at fans, or is there also noise maybe in the Panthers building? I mean, I know this is all speculation, but what do you guys think?
I mean, it's really hard to kind of, we know that Robbie Anderson, here's what people say about him on Twitter. We know that. He is on Twitter. And to be honest, Robbie Anderson in recent years has become a de facto voice of many in Panthers Twitter. Man, him coming out so vehemently against Baker Mayfield, a lot of people love that, especially if you're in our camp not wanting to trade more assets for Baker. And that kind of brashness, that brazen ability to just say what he feels like is on his mind. I think a lot of people respect that about Robbie, But at the same time, I think that when you continue to go online and you hear people talking about, oh, you got the dropsies, oh, you're underrated. By the way,
Overpaid.
overpaid. Even someone like me, man, like when I'm going on Twitter and I'm getting into these giant debates with guys from the 4-man rush about Ted Ginn Jr. and Robbie Anderson and who's better. Like, even something like that, as innocuous as it is, players see shit like that. And I wouldn't doubt it if those are part of the things that has him feeling some type of way. If he's a dog, he's allowed to feel slept on and feel like he's being underappreciated and feeling like he has something to prove. And to be honest, I think our entire team needs a little bit of that energy that Robbie is feeling. Now, again, he's, he speaks from his heart. He says it very real, very to the point, straight through the bullshit. And it might not be how someone would train you to speak to the media or to your Twitter followers. It's authentic and it's real. And I feel like Robbie Anderson has kind of been something of a beacon of our frustration, because Panther fans feel like we do have so much talent on this football team, yet it continues to be underutilized and underserviced. And I kind of think this is Robbie, lashing out at all of those things that are being pointed at him, be it fair or unfair.
I worry, though, because of how much it seems to impact him, the outside noise. Like, I know we're only human, and I'd be foolish to believe that any human being has the ability just to not exist in that in that mindset of like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, it's no matter what, we care, right? But Robbie seems overly impacted by things that he can't control, right? And when I look at that from the outside, do I think he's going to shit the bed? I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't think that he's a bad player because of that. I think he is a distraction all of a sudden. And I think that becomes a bigger issue. Now, his answer to why he was so vehemently against Baker was actually probably a brilliant one. He's like, I'm protecting my quarterback, right? Which I think we all can kind of respect and get behind, that he wants to be like, I mean, if he was like, yeah, let's go get Baker. I mean, that
would be a distraction,
right? That'd be even more of a distraction, and a bigger distraction, not just for him, but for Sam Darnold as being the guy, right? That we have. I think he's answered a lot of the questions the right way. I'm very much concerned about how easy it is for him to kind of get riled up by these things that he can't control.
Right. Look, these things are, a lot of things in life can be your best assets and your biggest weaknesses, right? Like it's kind of like that's the reason the Greek tragedy is such a powerful story arc, is because the greatest strength of the character or the protagonist is ultimately their undoing in the end, right?
Right.
So being emotional can put you in tune in some ways. It can make you get you up at moments. It can motivate you to go out there and play well and play with a chip on your shoulder and things like this. And at the same time, it's like when that emotion takes over, then it can also be problematic. And this always, the one thing about this is like, this is what this show is for us to talk about stuff like this. And I know like people could get upset that like, oh man, you shouldn't talk about small stuff like this, but that conversation actually is what makes the NFL the biggest business in the damn world. It seems like,
right,
that we will even care about all of this. But what's funny is there's really no answer to this. It's like, if he's a robot, people are gonna be like, oh, here, let me put it this way, is that I always say, like, we always want to get to know players, like get to know them as people and persons, and to see their true selves and their emotion. And then when we do and we don't like it, we're like, I wish you were a robot. So I think it was like when Cam, remember when Cam was at, again, of course, this is a podcast where we always have to talk about Cam, but like that Super Bowl press conference, you know what I'm saying, is like, if he goes out there and just says the talking points, then he doesn't play with like a fire under his belly. But then if he becomes emotional and dejected, he's like, oh, we don't like that. And so social media has opened this up so much. Imagine if Steve Smith had social media. Steve Smith used to punch his teammates out, dude.
Dude, there are so many players from the past that would have never been able to make it in like today's Twitter age. Like, they would have said some crazy shit.
Right.
Like Deion Sanders, Michael Irvin in their heyday. Come on, dude. Hey, by the way, shout out to Why Big Jordan on in our chat room. He wanted to point this out too, and I would have never known about this video if it wasn't for him. This is a video of Robbie Anderson. He brought a food truck and gave out some free clothes to the homeless and the less fortunate. How do I turn the music on? Right here? So yeah, Robbie Anderson rolled up with some food trucks, gave people some clothes. So yeah, I mean, again, I think Robbie has a good heart. I think he wants to do good things, and I think that people, or most of all, he wants people to appreciate his talent. And by the way, I don't even like to put everything on Robbie. I know a lot of people like to get really upset at Robbie, but I mean, I remain consistent on this. The Panthers' deep threat receiver has been cursed ever since this offensive line fell into absolute shambles and the quarterback position went into purgatory. I mean, those two,
right,
the line and the quarterback position, if you don't have a quarterback that's going to consistently get you the football on time, well, then, yeah, you probably are going to have more drops because you never know when the ball is going to hit you in the hands. There's a timing and a rhythm thing that goes along with all of this. And it's just, I understand why Robbie feels like he hasn't, that he's being slept on, that he hasn't had an opportunity to really show what he's capable of doing.
I don't think he really has been slept on. It's like this is the only thing right now is that players are going to have to recognize that, like, when the team stinks, it doesn't matter what, nobody's going to get accolades, right? And the team has stunk for the last 5 years. And so who is it? Like, we can only celebrate so many people so much. And to be honest, Robbie Anderson came in here, secured, is a starting wide receiver, and has gotten paid. So, like, that's the thing is, like, really, what's the dumping on? Is that, like, you're not being dumped on. You're not being cut. You're not being, I think, but it's piling on, right? Is that frustration is building. Right. And it's not just with Robbie Anderson. It's with the fan base. It's with the team. It's with Matt Rule, probably. It's with David Tepper. And this is just one example of that bubbling out. I think it's I want to be cautious too, as I know that, like, when saying, look, it's just because Robbie Anderson, I won't say he's the most eloquent speaker, right?
It's a very, very polite way of saying that.
Yeah, but sometimes, like, well, you know what? We don't pay him to be a speaker. We pay him to run a 4-3 and is like, so if he, like, I mean, I'm not turned off by the language or the delivery as much as maybe some people are, but it is, you feel me? So
I feel you, and I feel Robbie Anderson, man. It's like, by the way, everyone needs to have this very same chip on our shoulder on the football team. Like, literally everyone. I was saying this before the start of last year, Tony, and here I am again, another year later, saying the same shit. Everyone on our team has something to prove.
Yeah.
Literally everyone. There isn't a single player or a coach on this team that you could mention that doesn't have something to prove. And I like that, man. And by the way, if it takes people on Twitter being a little bit unfair to Robbie Anderson to bring out that dog in him, to make him go on Instagram and say, man, fuck y'all. Wait until y'all see the shit that I'm about to do this year. Then, hey, I like it, man. Maybe everything is in order. Maybe everything's right on time. I kind of feel like everyone needs this energy. This needs to be pervasive throughout the Panthers organization.
I don't think this is just fans. I don't think it's just fans.
Right.
I think it is like a media coverage
100%.
angle too. Is like, so look, is somebody, and the thing that made me think about this is somebody said, I'm so ready to see Marshall, right? Terrace Marshall. And what is it? Is like now that the Panthers.com has the Terrace Marshall ready to take a big step story out. And then every single blog and from ESPN to Cat Crave is going to run an article on it's Terrace Marshall's time to come into his own. You see Robbie Anderson being implicated in storylines that he's frustrated with the team, that he's frustrated with the quarterback situation, and even continue to be linked in potential trade talks for a Sam Darnold. Right. So I think it's not just a fan criticism, but I think it's the fan criticism coupled or echoed or intensified, should I say, by some of these larger storylines, So we'll see. It's like I've been a big Robbie Anderson fan. I think he had a tough season last year, but who didn't at this point last year? It's like, at the end of the day, and people have even been critical of DJ Moore about having the dropsies. Like if you drop any, and he had 3 tough games in the beginning of the season. He did not help Sam Darnold. It got to the point when they brought in PJ Walker and PJ completed his first pass. I was like, man, I think he just needs a black quarterback throwing to him. He got 1,000 yards with Teddy. PJ
is just a good quarterback. I don't even think he gives a fuck about that. I think
I know it's a joke. It's a joke. It's
no, I
real.
know, but like, and by the way, you actually brought it up a few weeks ago, and I think you were onto something. And let's bring it up here again. Do you still read this as Robbie Anderson potentially trying to force a trade? Because again, man, we continue to hear all these stupid rumors that the Panthers are the most aggressive in terms of wanting Baker Mayfield and showing interest in Baker.
You don't think he'd want to go play with Deshaun Watson?
Oh, I'm sure. And by the way, if you're Robbie Anderson and you've already vehemently made your position known about Baker Mayfield, and now you're in the building and there's a bunch of people that you're hearing are saying, yeah, man, we're going to go get fucking Baker Mayfield. Like, you might be like, nah, like, I'm not about this. I don't want to continue to do this with this, carousel of basic ass quarterbacks. Do you think there's any truth to Robbie still wanting to get the hell out of here? Maybe read.
Well, it wouldn't be a terrible idea. So let's we'll use this as a bridge to also talk about the Baker Mayfield, the latest Baker Mayfield rumors, right? So there's a new story that came out today, and it was like somebody that knows Baker's agents, right? So this is National Enquirer type fodder, right? Is like someone close to the family reports that Jen and Brad and Angelina Jolie were having problems, right? Is so someone who knows his agent. Now think about that. Think about how many people an agent knows, right? Like, it's like, oh yeah, met him at a party. I know this guy. He's a smart dude. That's what the story says. He's like, he's going to keep him away from, what did they use it? A hornet's nest? What was
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Baker Mayfield. I'll read it to you exactly. Baker Mayfield urged to avoid the Carolina Panthers hornet's nest in potential trade.
If this is worth like someone going on someone on ESPN is saying this or NFL.com, and then it's going to be rewritten by all of us and talked about. You think about it in the reverse, right? If there is any merit to this position, then isn't there merit to a player not wanting to be with the Carolina Panthers, i.e. Robbie Anderson? If people are saying don't go to Carolina, then why wouldn't you be trying to would you be welcoming something to get out of Carolina? And being the Browns here, the convenient part about this, or the interesting part about this, is like most of the times you don't want to get traded away because you're worried about going to a bad team, right? So we're trading you to a team that's languishing in obscurity for some draft picks or whatever. I don't know. Like someone gets hurt, this and that. But the Browns just acquired a top 5 quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Depending on, I mean, the only kind of scary part of the situation is, I guess
you go
maybe,
there and then you have to be behind Jacoby
Tyrod
Brissett.
Taylor. Yeah, that's what it is, Jacoby Brissett. But yeah, is that like this is would if you're Robbie Anderson, you got traded to the Browns next year, and you just or this year, and you said Deshaun Watson's going to have a 4-game suspension. You're with Kevin Stefanski, who's like a whisperer, right? Like he put together some crazy, awesome offenses with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen in Minnesota. Wouldn't you welcome that idea?
I think there's a fear to it because if you come and you start that first 4 games and Deshaun Watson isn't there and you aren't performing, well, it's not, you got to keep in mind there's probably going to be other opportunities, and Deshaun Watson is still a question mark in and of himself, right? I'm not saying he's going to come in and shit the bed, but the dude hasn't played football in well over a year.
I do think there's more merit to that discussion than people give credit for. Is like, if people are worried about you not playing enough preseason games to knock the rust off, how long is it going to take him?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and to talk about distraction, I mean, the dude's going to have distraction. I don't know what his future holds. Like, obviously, none of us do. But there is a real distinct possibility that Deshaun Watson is not going to be the same quarterback, maybe even ever. And it's going to be easy for defenses to get into his head now. Very easy for defensive linemen to get into his head.
Deshaun, give me a massage.
Oh, they're going to be saying everything when they tackle him. But I think if I'm Robbie Anderson and I wake up tomorrow and they say you're going to the Browns in exchange for Baker Mayfield, I'm saying I've already got paid, right? Like I got my money. It's not like I'm going to a place in a contract year and then I'm worried about my production declining.
Right.
He's probably thinking this is a great opportunity to be beside Amari Cooper. Right. And with a upgraded quarterback, deuces gooses is what I'd be saying. I think another
and by
team
the way, it's that same thing that we've been talking about when it comes to the Browns. They have a good offensive line. They have had a good offensive line most of the time.
Is that really true?
Yes.
Is that
the
true?
only reason you don't believe that is just because they're the Browns.
No, the only reason people say it is because they had Joe Thomas, the best left tackle in the league.
I'm talking the past few years. They have had 3 offensive linemen get paid, and they also had a big-time draft pick in Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. So, yeah, they have invested on that offensive line, and it has been good for Baker for a long time. That's why for the past 2 years in a row, they've had the Browns as a Super Bowl contender. It was all dependent upon Baker Mayfield. And again, didn't get it done. So, I think that Robbie Anderson probably looks at all that and goes, yeah, man, either way, I love it, man. If the Panthers are going to trade and get something for Robbie, then at least we're going to get something for him. If not, the man's got a chip on his shoulder bigger than he's apparently ever had. And I think that benefits us. Tony, to kind of transition to this Baker Mayfield story. So essentially, what was said, this is from Mike Sando of The Athletic on a recent podcast. He said, I happen to think Carolina is not a good fit for him. And I know Baker's agents well. They're very competent people. They're good people. They understand it too. I think Carolina's a hornet's nest because I think their coach is under the gun. I think everybody's under the gun. They've got an owner who's ready to press the button any day now on a reset. And if I'm Baker, that could be messy and ugly. That's why I come back to Seattle being the one spot for him. And that makes sense to me. And by the way, if you're Baker Mayfield, that makes sense. There's so much uncertainty around the Panthers because of Matt Rule and David Tepper deciding to keep him in spite of 2 back-to-back 5-win seasons. This at least Pete Carroll has won a Super Bowl and been to another one. Right. Matt Rule has never had a winning season in the NFL. So
True. Like, I mean, but there's some things to think about with that. One is Pete Carroll is, how old is Pete Carroll?
he's not
Like,
the
Pete Carroll
oldest
might
coach
be,
in the
he's born in
NFL.
1951. So what is that? He's 73 years old.
Yeah, he's the oldest coach in the NFL.
Is that the writing, the time for Pete Carroll might be limited in itself. So I don't necessarily go, oh, well, they're so secure. Now, I mean, I understand I'm not trying to undermine the claim that it's Matt Rule is a dumpster fire, waiting to be fired kind of moment. Like, that's all clear, but I just don't necessarily know if Seattle is this bastion of security at the moment. Right.
My question is more about, and not to, focus so heavily on Baker, but right now there is a distinct possibility Baker isn't getting moved. Right. And so the question becomes, is it in Baker's best interest to play for the Browns in the event that there is a suspension that does come to play? Or do the Browns even risk that? Because I think the Browns give him the best opportunity to look like a superstar for 4 or 5 games, and then maybe the Browns have an opportunity to trade him mid-season, right, after that suspension's up. Like, does Baker even dare try to do that? Or is it Baker's done with the Browns?
I thought that, I've asked this question myself 100 times, and it just seems like this is the Browns have decided that they're okay with the guy, with everybody but Baker.
Right.
It's like they've made the move. We made the bed. We're going to lay in it, and we're ready to roll with Jacoby Brissett in the meantime. Right. I mean, so like Baker's not even with the team in any of these activities from what I've noticed or what I said. Yeah. And then Baker did say that, I mean, it's not completely out of the question, but they would have to come like hat in hand, right? Last week's show, mea culpa, right? Hat in hand. I think it's wonder at this point is how are they not getting the deal done with Carolina? I'm starting to think this is like, why is it that if Carolina is so interested, why have they not gotten it done?
Yeah. And by the way, Ian, to add to this too, Ian Rappaport, every Tuesday or whatever, he goes on Pat McAfee. And, he talks about this Baker Mayfield situation. And for the past, 3-4 months, Ian Rappaport is one of the most loudest voices connecting Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers. Like, literally, it's been that way forever. And most of the time, if you listen to Ian Rappaport when he talks, he's basically saying that from his perspective, it's the best landing spot for Baker Mayfield. Not necessarily that it is the most likely place for Baker Mayfield to end up. All these reports are not to be believed, man. 1 minute, the Seahawks are moments away from making a Baker Mayfield trade. And then the next minute, it's back to being the Panthers. And the Panthers, they're really hot and heavy on Baker. Dude, there's a big game being played in front of everyone, and they just expect us to react to every bit of news that drops on this.
Or they don't really know anything. They're just drumming up stuff, right? It's like they got to have some content to talk about too. And it's just like, for every report the Carolina Panthers are interested in Baker Mayfield, then you see one that they're not. I don't know. I'm really interested. I just want to know why the deal hasn't been done. If the Carolina Panthers were so aggressively, look, they've been aggressive in their quarterback decisions for the last 3 years, right? Immediately cut Cam, bring in Teddy. That's a decisive move. Then they didn't like what they had with Teddy Bridgewater. You could see that relationship deteriorating. They move on. They try to go. They aggressively went after Matt Stafford. And then continued to pursue Deshaun Watson through all of this. And it seems like Deshaun Watson picked the Cleveland Browns because they basically said, we'll give you the money too. And we got a better situation than Carolina. That makes sense. What's the holdup if the Carolina Panthers really want Sam Darnold? I can't believe it's just the money.
You mean Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if they really, really want Baker Mayfield, I can't believe it's the $18 million that are holding them away from it. So So I don't know.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who else has said they were interested in Baker?
I guess just Seattle, maybe. Nobody.
Would
So
that not cause you as an organization to maybe pause for a moment before doing anything to get rid of assets and cap space to take on a salary of a guy who hasn't really proven beyond being on a good team? Again, I what I don't want the Carolina Panthers to continually be is a reason a quarterback fails, right? Like, there's going to be an argument after Sam Darnold, if he fails again this year, if Matt Corral doesn't work out, like, there's going to be an argument that Carolina is where quarterbacks go to die, right?
Well, I think there's already an argument for that
For
now.
sure.
Right. And so I'm tired of that being a part of the narrative, and I'm ready for us to be able to get somebody in. And honestly, Baker Mayfield is a big risk on our team. Not just because I don't think he can do well, because I mean, he's possibly able to be a Case Keenum type of player who's able to come out there and perform some, really, perform well, but not to an extent to where he's going to take you all the way to the Super Bowl and win it. And so, but there's also a higher potential for him to come over and just shit the bed, because we have so much uncertainty. The hornet's nest is a real thing that his agent or whomever that was that was mentioning that they have to take into consideration. The Panthers, no matter what quarterback we get, they're coming into a very uncertain situation, which is where the argument about Matt Corral not starting this year becomes almost relevant. Do we want him to start in the middle of a hornet's nest, or do we want him to start fresh with a new regime if we end up, in fact, having one by the beginning of next year? And I, for one, would rather see him start for a new regime as opposed to be in any way connected to this one.
And that is relevant.
Okay.
Now, it is relevant to the story that Baker Mayfield every year for the Cleveland Browns, and by the way, this is what Cleveland fans will say as one of their arguments, that Baker Mayfield has had a different head coach every year that he's been with the Browns, which is true. And that is hard to overcome. He had Stefanski 2 years in a row, I think. But at the end of the day, if he's looking at the landscape and you don't think that the team you're going to go to has a coach with job security, again, it's easy to see why Baker doesn't want to come here from that perspective. What
do you think the benefit for the – so we continue to look at this from two perspectives, really. We look at this from the Panthers' perspective, which the one we're most familiar with. Then we try to think of what Baker is thinking and going through. What do you think the game plan for the Seahawks is, though? All right, so the Seahawks just did a brazen move and traded away a star quarterback, an elite quarterback, a top 5 quarterback in the league.
How about easily the best quarterback in their history?
Yes. And I really think a top 5 quarterback in the league right now. There's an argument. Maybe he's like on that bubble.
I'm not mad at that assessment.
The age and he's only 33, not only, but 33, 34. So he's in the back end. They go out there and they get a couple of players, right? And Seattle received Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, and Noah Fant. But they got Denver's 2022 and 2023 first round picks. Their 2022 and 23 second round picks, and their 2022 fifth round pick. So, like, I wonder what's the
hold up, like, what's the
or what is their game plan, right? Is this like a rebuild, like as in we're going to be able to go and pursue a top level talent in the draft in the future when you got all that, right? So we're going to go in this next quarterback class and go after one of these guys that everybody likes to link to the Panthers in the future. And is that then you've got, I think Drew Lock was in the same was he in the same class as Baker and Sam Darnold?
Drew Lock
in his
came out.
Year?
Drew Lock came out, I believe, in 2000, and it's the same year Kyler Murray came out. I think 2019. I'll look it up.
But I guess how would Baker fit into whatever build they're trying to make? right? Is that are you trying to get through saying you say, hey, we got enough draft picks?
Yeah, 2019 draft.
So 19, 20, 21, 22. So they get him for this year, and then they get a 5th-year option. I mean, was he a first-round pick?
No, it was a second round.
Oh, okay. So they don't get a 5th-year option on that. So he's in the final year of his contract, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to bring in 2 quarterbacks that are just in the final year of their contract? I don't even know how Baker really helps their situation all that much.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a shit situation. Like Baker Mayfield, and that's another thing that people fight with me online about. Like, I just don't believe that you're going to get Baker Mayfield to be a bridge quarterback for 1 year. I think if you're going to convince Baker Mayfield to come to Carolina, especially knowing that he's already put you in the friend zone, that he don't even like you like that, I mean, I think you're going to have to pay him at least a 2 or 3 year contract.
Yeah.
And again, man, I'm on
what, is he going to sit out?
Train.
Is he going to sit out?
I don't know, man. I find it hard to believe that if the Panthers are going to trade more assets to get another quarterback that wasn't on your team the year before for a 3rd year in a row, then they envision this guy to be the potential starting quarterback for the foreseeable future.
All right. Enough of the Mayfield talk. What's next? Is there anything else?
You ready to do a $15 fucking Panthers defense?
You want to do the rank actually this will be fun. Let's do the wide receiver rankings. All right. Let's go through. I'm going to pull them up real quick. Go ahead and shame them up while I do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Tuesday night. We're out here as we always are every Tuesday night, Got a good number of people watching us. And, when you have as many viewers as we have right now and there's no news to talk about, they're not here to talk about the Panthers. They're here to get shamed. Talk to them, Big Papa.
Oh, well, good evening. Welcome in to the C3 Panthers podcast 3 weeks before training camp kicks off. That's exciting to hear. But it's also super boring to find out there is literally no news about the Carolina Panthers. But you show up every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock on the nose. You come in and you say, hey, what's up? Fuck Sam Darnold. Screw Baker Mayfield. Massage Deshaun Watson. Whatever it is. But you haven't hit that like button yet. I have one thing to say to all you kinky motherfuckers. Subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame. 100 strong viewers. 46 thumbs up. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Hit that notification bell for every single time the C3 Panther podcast goes live, giving you this Panther content. We do it for y'all. Listen, man, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers before the start of the season. We need your help to do so. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Let people know that you listen to the dopest Panther podcast that there is. We've got a real fan community that anyone can be a part of. Let people know. Help us get to 4,000 subscribers. Much love. Please and thanks. Tony Dunn. What we got next?
All right, let's rank. This is how we're gonna figure out what our top. We're gonna do the top 8 receiving cores in the NFL, and this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna go through each division real quick and rank each division 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll take the number 1 from each division, and we'll try to figure out if we can get 8 out of that 1 and 2, and see if we can start comparing that way. All right, so AFC North right here is obviously the teams are Buffalo, Miami, the Patriots, and the Jets. And I think strangely, you're going to be private. This is a hot take right here. Gosh, all right. So for me, my personal rankings here is to me is Miami's got the best one, right? You add Tyreek Hill with Jalen Waddle. There we go. Boom. You also have Devontae Parker that's been shipped up to the Patriots. Jacoby Myers is nobody. If you look at the only Stephon Diggs, really, Jamison Crowder has always been a good slot receiver for the Buffalo Bills. I wonder, is this a hot take to say that the Jets actually have a better receiving core than the Bills? Is Stephon Diggs alone enough? And Jamison Crowder, I don't know enough about Gabriel Davis. I actually feel like he was pretty good last year.
Well, you remember Gabriel Davis in that AFC champion? Or no, it wasn't the AFC championship because that was the Bengals and the Chiefs. In the divisional round, Gabriel Davis had 5 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, okay.
He accounted for every touchdown during that game. And by the way, a couple of those plays, my man was wide open.
So, do you think is there an argument where Buffalo then is better than Miami? I'm going Miami, Buffalo then, and then Jet.
I would still say Buffalo by a hair, just because Jalen Waddle is still young, and I feel like he's still an unproven player. Yeah. He may have had some.
They got Tyreek.
Yeah, I'm saying, but if you consider all of, so again, Cedric Wilson, he's a good player too, but I mean, just looking at, you have Stephon Diggs. I think Stephon Diggs, he's up there as the best receiver in the NFL. I don't know if he's the best receiver, but he's definitely up there. And I think Gabriel Davis is a proven commodity. I do think the Miami roster has potential to be much more explosive.
Yeah.
But right now, if I'm picking, I'm probably still picking Buffalo right now.
All right, you're the tiebreaker then, CK, because I got Miami ahead of Buffalo. Cody's got Buffalo ahead of Miami. You pick it, and we'll put them in that order. Jalen Waddle had 1,000 yards in his rookie year, 104 catches, by the way. I think he's
but
Stephon Diggs is probably
Stephon Diggs to Tyreek Hill. That's the who's better, Diggs or Hill, and then it's
this
Waddle
is a good point too.
Gabriel Davis.
Do you consider tight ends to be a part of the equation?
I think he's saying receiving core. Receiving
Okay.
core. Yeah. I would. Yeah. Listen, I think I got to go with the Bills.
Okay. All right. Bills number 1. We'll do Bills number 1. Miami number 2. I think Miami might still make potentially a top 10 appearance. All right. Let's go to the AFC North.
The easiest one out of anything on the face.
Yeah. Wait. I said the AFC North last time. It was the AFC East. Now we're in the North. So the North. I think this is a clear consensus. The Bengals, right?
Yeah. Bengals all the way across the board. Yeah.
Bengals. What do you think next? Bengals, then who? 1 Bengals. If we look at this, is all right. So, it's not the Baltimore Ravens. They just traded away their good one.
All of them, yeah.
It's almost like this. Who's the worst in this? Is the worst is probably the Ravens, right?
Ravens for sure.
Yeah,
because people were, even though they had a great draft this year, people were knocking them because not only did they trade away Hollywood Brown, but they really didn't add anyone back to that receiving core. So people have been kind of critical of them for Lamar Jackson. He's looking to have a big year this year. Yeah, man. Look, dude.
All right. So then who is this? Is it if 1 is the Bengals, 4 is the Ravens, then we're talking Browns with Amari Cooper and Donovan.
That's the only saving grace for me is the Browns. I think Amari Cooper is the only, when you look at that list, I think Amari Cooper has got to be the only reason the Browns would be the number 2, and it's a really not even close. Yeah.
So who do you think then? We'll say this is who do we put at number 2, Browns or Steelers?
Can we not just put everybody in a tie for last, other than the Bengals, for that division?
Wow. Okay, you just don't like any of these receivers.
I really don't. I think Chase Claypool was benefited heavily from some highlights in his rookie year, but since then he's less than extraordinary. He's been quite honestly a disappointment in a lot of ways. So he's the only name I think on that list that you're like, oh, maybe he's good. No, he's not.
All right, so I'm going to say that I'm going to go Browns then 2.
Yeah.
For number
and
2.
then Steelers 3. Could change, man. Could change. Claypool could be a great receiver. Like, we'll have to see what happens going forward. They are, you know what the irony of this is that the Steelers always have a great receiving core,
right?
And maybe
and
not.
They're able to find gems. Like a lot of their best receiving talent never comes in the first round. They don't draft receivers first round.
You feel okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm completely fine with that.
All right, let's go to the South then. So the South is this one. Good Lord. I don't even know if anybody makes it. This is crazy. All right, so what we've got here is.
So I know who I'm picking.
Jaguars.
You got the Texans. Yeah. You got the Texans have Nico Collins, Brandon Cooks, and John Mechie III, who's a rookie. The Colts have Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, Paris Campbell. The Jaguars have Zay Jones, Marvin Jones Jr., Christian Kirk, and then you get Robert Woods, which is kind of a big, that's like the big name from the Rams.
Yeah,
pretty good. And then Nick Akeem Wisp, I don't know this guy, and Traylon Burks. So Cody, you take over. Tell me what you think. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right now, the Jaguars have the most expensive receiving core in the NFL because of the money that they paid to Christian Kirk. They paid him a boatload of cash.
They gave Zay Jones some good money too.
So just narrowly, I would say the Jaguars. Number 2, I'm taking the Colts. I think Michael Pittman and Paris Campbell are really good receivers. And I honestly think Matt Ryan is probably going to make good use of those dudes too.
Right. But the argument. Oh, sorry.
Yep. No, go ahead.
I would say the argument with the Colts, though, is they haven't had that, right? They haven't had a quarterback to prove that these guys are good wide receivers. So I can't. I mean, I can sit here and grade all these guys off potential, but I'm grading them off of what we've seen and outside of maybe the Titans with a rookie wide receiver there that they've got coming in. But other than that, like I'm grading these guys on what we've seen, and quite honestly, the only people that have had any semblance of success is the Jaguars wide receiver core. They have the most experience out of any of these guys.
Marvin Jones Jr., don't sleep on that guy. That is a fantasy football machine right there.
Yeah, man. And Zay Jones. Didn't Zay Jones go to your
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
went to
has the most catches.
ECU?
Most catches in ECU history. Was a second round pick to Buffalo. He was picked like at the very top of the second round. They had very high expectations with him and Josh Allen.
Remember he had that crazy moment where he got
I think he said the bath salts or something like that. Or
got naked and tried to punch through a window in Vegas or some shit.
Yeah.
Like that.
So he though has had a rejuvenation story. The only thing about this that's funny about their group is they have 3 number 2s.
Yeah.
It's like Christian Kirk is a number 2. Marvin Jones Jr. is a great number 2, or he's a good number 2.
They didn't pay him like a number 2.
Zay Jones, number 2, and they paid him pretty good money. Well, they had it, right? I think this is right now. I'm going to say I think I feel okay with. I think it might be a little disrespectful to the Colts receivers. I think there's arguments for the Colts being the best group and the Jags being 2. I'm going to go 3. Number 3, though, I'm going to go with the Titans. I think Robert Woods has got – but like Brandon Cooks, is he just is he enough, right? I mean, he's a good piece to have on a team. Man, God, he's played with almost everybody. I'm going to put the Robert Woods ahead of Brandon Cooks at this stage in his career, which is going to go Titans for me at 3, and then 4 is the Texans. You guys feel okay with that?
I would swap 3 and 4. I would
really.
Yeah. So my ranking is I have Jaguars 1, Colts 2, The Texans are underrated. John Mechie's a speedster out of Alabama. They got Brandon Cooks. Nico Collins was a really big jump ball receiver for them out of Michigan, because I write for the Texans for Draft Tech too, so I know a lot about their team a little bit. They're underrated, and they like Davis Mills too. So I'll go Jags 1, Colts 2, Texans 3, Titans 4.
Okay, I'm
going Jags 1, Titans 2, Texans 3. Well, Colts 3 and Texans 4.
Okay. So we've got some controversy,
but that's a very close. This is a very close.
Yeah, that division.
Like that's not.
Yeah, that's close for sure.
Now let's talk about this one. What a beast of a division we've got here in the AFC West, and right here, man. Imagine if we were talking tight ends. Think of this: is that you know how if we added tight ends to this, it would still be. Well, I guess Kelsey would help the Kansas City Chiefs, but guess what? The Raiders probably got the best tight end in Waller. By the way, who had a great story.
Travis Kelsey's on the Chiefs.
That's what I'm saying. Is like Kelsey would help the Kansas Chiefs argument, but then at the same time, I think the Raiders got a piece that would combat that.
Yeah,
this is tough right here. Devontae Adams. Keelan Cole, Hunter Renfrow, right? Hunter Renfrow is a cool, neat piece. Then you got the Chargers with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, just Joshua Palmer. You know what is it bizarre to say? Is it messed up to say that potentially I think the Raiders have it?
I don't think it's messed up.
I think there's a case to be made. It's
Mike
still
Williams had a lot of. I think the easy pick is for me to just go Chargers, right? Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Mike Williams, though, has had a lot of. I think he's really making a strong comeback. So I'm okay with either one of these being number one.
I think that also we might be sleeping on the Broncos, right? Jerry Jeudy is arguably one of the best in this division, in the league, really, just based on what we've seen the past 2 years out of him. I don't know if you've watched his stuff, but he's actually a very good wide receiver.
Cortland Sutton puts up big numbers.
Right.
This Tim Patrick guy, he killed us.
Right. Yeah, he did.
So, listen, I think it's the Chargers. I think the Chargers are number one. So, I'm a big time Mike Williams fan, man. Clemson won championships with Mike Williams, but we also literally won against Alabama off of a Hunter Renfrow touchdown reception, and Hunter Renfrow just got the bag for the Raiders too. But I am gonna go with the Chargers. I think Mike Williams, Joshua Palmer, and Keenan Allen is routinely one of the nastiest receivers on big-time third and fourth down moments in the NFL, man. Like, that guy is an absolute beast. And, by the way, I've also seen enough Justin Herbert highlights to know that guy number 2 on the depth chart, number 15, Jalen Guyton, that's another guy that's had a bunch of touchdowns last year for the Chargers on those deep balls that Herbert throws. Yeah, I would go Chargers 1. Number 2, I think the Raiders. I really like Devontae Adams, obviously, with everything he's done. Hunter Renfrow is so underrated. How about this? I think it's kind of funny to say this, but I didn't think it would be possible. Yeah, I think the Broncos are number 3, and I actually think the Chiefs are at the bottom here in terms of pure receiving core, man. I agree. Listen, I don't know what you think of Juju Smith-Schuster. It's kind of like you were saying. Yeah, it's like whatever you were saying with the Titans earlier, Tony. It's like none of these guys are number 1 wide receivers. Valdez, Scantling. Mecole Hardman is a burner. They're hoping that he can be their knockoff Tyreek Hill. I don't know if that's actually going to work or not. Yeah, man. I think Chargers 1, Raiders 2, Broncos number 3 and Chiefs number 4.
See, I'm okay with it. I kind of like the Raiders because I think Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the NFL. Like, I think he's the number one for me. Like, that's the guy. But Keenan Allen, by the way, has had 5 1,000-yard seasons. Rookie year in 2013. Then he had one in 2017, 2018, 2019. Missed it by 8 yards in 2020 with only playing starting 13 games. Back at it with Justin Herbert in 2021 with 106 catches. All right, so I'm okay. We'll go Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, Chiefs. All right, next on the list is now I think that moves us to the NFC.
Yep.
Let's go we'll start with the East. The East is what we got is Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, James Washington for the Cowboys. You got Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard. Not bad group there either. One's always hurting, Kenny Galladay. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, and then you get Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel. Who's last? How about that? And I think it might be this is
the Giants.
Giants. Really? Man.
The Giants and the Jaguars are spending the most money on the receiver position out of any
Kenny
NFL
Galladay
team.
does that to you.
I'm okay with that because I would say this is Kenny Galladay has been okay from a fantasy perspective, but always hurt. Redskins next. Terry McLaurin though was nice, right?
He just got paid too, right?
He got paid. Obviously, Curtis Samuel's got the injury history, so I would put if Curtis actually played last year, I would probably say they might have a case for like the number 2. But right now, the top 2, have got to be the Eagles and the Cowboys. There's just no.
This is tough right here, though. I think this is tough. Is
with AJ Brown
Lamb and Michael Gallup versus Devonta Smith and AJ Brown. Now, I think I'm going Eagles.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would say is I believe CeeDee Lamb is a better receiver than
Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mainly because we've seen it on a consistent basis from CD. Like he's
got
taking
the more
game
prototypical size.
And he's got that gene. Like he's got that it factor. Like I think he's kind of, and I'm not going to say he's Des Bryant, but he's got that Des Bryant feel to him to where he's like you throw to him, he's going to get the ball. Like he's going to do it. And so I think that I see that more so than anything, but I think the Cowboys have this one in my mind.
The way that Eagles fans talk about that Devonta Smith guy.
Yeah. So by the way, that's part of the reason why I'm picking them. I had him rated as my number 1 wide receiver. I even had him above Jamar Chase in my rankings, and I got a lot of shit for that. To me, he is a nightmare route runner. He's incredibly fast. Even though he's 170 pounds, like if you can't touch him, it don't really matter. He's an absolute burner. And when you factor in on top, scroll back up, Tony. They just went and got AJ Brown to be a part of that as well. Quez Watkins, I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know much about him.
Jalen Reagor at one time was a first-round pick as well. Another speedster, another burner. I think low-key that Philadelphia team is looking good. If Jalen Hurts can take the next step, that might be a squad.
That's kind of the hard part about it is like these are pretty close. And I think like CeeDee Lamb and Devonta Smith, you could and Terry McLaurin, to be honest, you can coin flip all these guys as like a top talent on that squad. But then you think of the quarterback throwing to them, is that really maybe the Cowboys group gets a advantage because of Dez over Dak. I'm gonna stick with my Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants. I will go with that order. And then all right, so let's go to the NFC.
I've got the same order.
NFC North. Ooh, this is a stinker. Stinker.
Nah, not totally. Well, kinda. Yeah.
The best receiver in the whole division is Adam Thielen. Oh no, Justin Jefferson. All right, so this is easy actually.
How about my boy
is
Sammy?
Minnesota.
Tony, do you remember? And let me ask you this before we go. Do you remember before I came on this show full time, I would call into the cat calls line, and I would make the case to you and Mel that we had to get Sammy Watkins for Cam.
You've always, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
He was supposed to be the next Julio.
Yeah, or like a Julio Odell blend. Yeah, and he was electric at Clemson.
I think Sammy Watkins is a cool, neat story though. I think he's a guy that had so much. They traded so much to get him, right? So Buffalo did the same thing the Falcons did for Julio just a few years later with Sammy Watkins. So they go and they try to get this, replicate it. And you had a guy in Sammy Watkins who had so much success in college, who always was good in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
But continued to deal with injury. Early part of his career was so injury prone. It was just always a story. It's kind of like what Christian McCaffrey's story is becoming.
Right.
It's like when you have him, he's a great player, but I think he's done a lot to rejuvenate his career in a way, like, or at least salvage it. You get he wasn't with the Chargers at one point. I know he was with the Chiefs and with the Ravens.
He won a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. I don't know what he did with the Ravens.
But he's been a contributor. So I think that's a cool. It's kind of like a Thomas Davis
Rams.
story.
He was with the Rams for a while too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so it's kind of like the Thomas Davis story. Is your early career is not the best part of your career. It's actually the back end that has saved it to a certain degree. But I'm going to go number one with the Vikings and Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. I thought Adam Thielen was done. I thought he was over the hill. Speaking of this, here's a neat name for you. Blake Prohl.
Oh,
Ricky Prohl's
son.
kid, who also former ECU Pirate, left a year. Did not leave a year. Maybe he did leave a year early. Yeah, he did. He left a year early. Was not drafted. But as an undrafted signed free agent with them. And, he talks I heard he came on and did an interview with local radio here. And the talk about, he just is like modeling after, he's just watching Adam Thielen. So you got your dad as in this fantastic. So I wonder if he'll be a sneaky story in the NFL in the future as being from the Ricky Prohl lineage, mentored by, as Ricky is a great teacher, right? Wide receiver core. Man, he made Philly Brown good. Helped him become good.
And Cam did as well.
Yes.
How about two of the St. Brown brothers in the same division? That's kind of funny.
Are they brothers?
Yeah,
they have to be, right?
Amon Ross St. Brown, Equanimous St. Brown. So the guy. There's LaMelo Ball. He plays for the ball kid who plays for the Hornets.
Yeah,
his dad. What was his dad? That crazy dude, Lonzo Ball, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
we know.
Yeah. Okay, well, these guys.
He was a Carolina Panther at one point.
Yeah, he was. But the St. Brown family, their dad is like the football version of Lonzo or of the ball guy. Dad. Yeah, he's like, they have all been training since they were little kids to be football players. Yeah, I kind of like that list though.
Who's number two? How about
I would switch it up slightly.
I know we haven't made a list. All I know is this is just the Vikings. I don't know anything. I guess you want to go Green Bay next because of Sammy Watkins only.
Randall Cobb. I mean, come on, Alan Lazard. But okay, that's
Cobb
enough.
is
But hold
ancient,
on,
bro.
But hold on. Okay, just like you were talking about Dak Prescott potentially giving that other squad a boost, I think you have to talk about the connection that Aaron Rodgers does have with Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard. Now you add Samuel Watkins on top of that. I would put Green Bay at number 2. Then I would just narrowly, and I'm talking just narrowly, I'd put the Lions above the Bears.
I like DJ Shark.
Yeah, me too.
Shark.
I thought he was going to be
like
great
that.
with Trevor
Lions
Lawrence
and then
last year.
Bears. Bears not looking great. Mooney,
Nah.
the only person there. All right, so going next is the NFC South. Tough one here, or not tough, is I think number one you go. I think you have to go. Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay with very little hesitation on that.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Godwin has turned into a beast. Mike Evans has been a bastion of consistency, and then you get the quarterback. Now, here's the thing: is Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry, DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall Jr. being the third man. How is this Chris Olave rookie? Is he going to be?
He was my favorite receiver of this draft class. He was with Ohio State. He torched Clemson 2 years ago with Justin Fields. Had like 3 or 4 touchdowns, something crazy like that. The dude's a beast. Okay, so we can obviously say Tampa Bay number one. They deserve it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna get a little bit controversial.
Wait,
I know. Yeah, I know, right? Who would have ever thought? I'm putting Panthers number 2, dude.
I do.
I agree. I'm giving a
that.
big time fuck it, and it's all feelings, no facts. I feel like everybody else, outside people, non-fans would put the Saints above us because of Jarvis and Michael Thomas. Nah, dude. I'm taking DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and a second-year Terrace Marshall Jr. to be able to step up. And also, I'm also considering guys like Rashard Higgins, who I do think is going to play a big part on this team this year in certain packages, certain down and distances. And, dude, I'm still I'm hesitant about the guy that we picked up out of South Carolina, man, Shi Smith. I know I'm the only one I feel like still believing that Shi Smith can be a good receiver for the Panthers, but I really do think that he can turn it on. I like the mix of established talent with underrated talent, with young talent to be able to step up and do some big things. So I'm saying Tampa 1. I'm saying Panthers 2. I'm saying New Orleans 3. And Falcons can fuck off for the rest of the time.
I don't have a problem with that list. And I think I don't think it's just a feelings over facts thing. I think one, Michael Thomas is first. We really don't even know what Michael Thomas is right now. He's been missing, right? He didn't even play was it last year he didn't play at all?
Yeah. Thomas,
right,
you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Thomas didn't play at all last year, I'm pretty sure. And then on top of that, then there became the idea that he was just a possession receiver, right? It's like he got this giant contract. People talked about his love for football was one question next. They always like to do that one. But then there also is is he just a good possession, like a very good possession receiver, but does that make you a top receiver in the NFL, right? I don't think Michael Thomas is in the top conversation for top receiver, right? And I think Jarvis Landry is living on reputation more so than what he is right now. Last year he had 570 yards receiving. The year before he had 840. You got to go back to 2019 where he was over 1,000 yards. Now he's been a very, very consistent receiver from 2015 to 2019. He was in that 1,000-yard range. I just wonder if he's still there. I feel like Robbie and I think DJ Moore. I think these guys are just in their peaks right now, more so,
right.
Rather than on the back end of their career. So I'm gonna go Bucks, Panthers, Saints, and then Falcons.
And Carl Van.
Do the Falcons have anybody?
Really, no. Outside of Calvin Ridley.
Brian. Oh, that's where he went. Brian Edwards. He came from Las Vegas. He's kind of a cool name.
Dude,
is this Drake London any good?
Guy. That's their draft pick, the guy that they just drafted this year. But also, okay, I know we agreed to not mention tight ends here, But the Falcons' offense is Kyle Pitts now.
Yeah.
Like he might as well be a receiver for them. Like you can't really not acknowledge his presence. But if we're just talking receiver core, and by the way, Carl said, why should anyone believe in Terrace Marshall Jr.? What is he shown? Dude, that's why I said all feelings, no facts, man. Can I prove this to you? Fuck no. But based on everything that we've been hearing from the Panthers players, from the coaches, the Panthers, they're putting out their own propaganda, whether or not Tony believes any of it. I think Terrace Marshall Jr. is poised to have a big-time year this year. I think Ben McAdoo, and I can't believe I'm even saying this, I think Ben McAdoo is going to do wonders for our offense. And a lot of the guys that we previously felt were kind of underserviced, I think Ben McAdoo is really going to help some of these guys shine this year. And I think Terrace Marshall Jr. is among them. So do I know that he's better than some of those other guys? No, but I'm a fucking homer. I'm a Panthers fan, and I'm not putting the Saints above my Panthers. So,
well, but you could say that also for any rookie, right? And he had one season, and he didn't play much. He had an injury, which there's a lot of concerns then. He's living that his whole it's just on potential right now. It's like what he can be, not what he's done. But I don't think you have to go to the third receiver on that list to make the decision. I kind of am okay with saying DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson are better than Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry at this stage in their career. I don't think that's I wouldn't go crazy if you guys wanted to flip the Saints and the Panthers, if someone was going to really argue to the death.
I feel like if people in the media or other fans of other teams were making this list, we would most assuredly be number
three. Yeah, I think you're probably right. And I could understand their perspective too. All right, so the next one now, I think. All right, so Cut Lord. How about this? How about you could be the best group on this list potentially, and they don't even have your best receiver on the list. Where the hell is your boy for the Cardinals? Why is he not even on the list? Because he's suspended for
that's pretty stupid.
6 games.
It shouldn't really even matter.
I just now realized that.
And his name's escaping me. Help me out.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. So I think DeAndre Hopkins, Marquise Brown, and Rondale Moore is awesome, dude. And then you got the limping legend AJ Green.
How about this, man? My fucking Clemson receivers, they're out here running shit, man. How many times has a Clemson receiver been a part of one of these receiving cores, man? Wide receiver, baby.
Bro, that Rams wide receiver core looks good right now.
It's not bad. Yeah. Look, it's Cooper Kupp. Obviously Triple Crown and Allen Robinson. Man, are they sleep? Or what happened to him? Why was he not? And then there's
what do you mean? What happened to him? He was on the Bears team for the past 10 years.
I know, killing it. But last year, they go and they went and got. So Allen Robinson was on that Super Bowl team, right?
No. He just now went to the Rams this year.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and don't forget little baby Lockett and DK Metcalf here. Then you get some cool names with Deebo Samuel. This is a tough group here to rank. I think I'm going to have to go with I want to go Cardinals 1 for me because DeAndre Hopkins, right? You got to add him and Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. I think that's a formidable duo. Then I'm going to go Rams. I'm going to have to say, God, I don't know if I can. I almost want to put the Seahawks above the 49ers. Is that silly?
No.
Tyler Lockett's the most underrated receiver in the NFL.
Dude, Tyler Lockett's
underrated though.
He's the number 1 on that team.
Yeah.
Beside Big DK. Have you heard about DK's diet?
Yeah, I
heard
was
it.
telling you
Horrible.
about this.
Oh, you were the one that was talking about like
yeah,
the
he's nothing
Skittles?
but he's like he'll have a coffee in the morning, and then the rest of the day he'll eat like 3 big bags of like gummies, like candies and gummy worms, like the big bags that you like buy for Halloween to like dump in the bowls like that. He eats that, and then he'll have one meal at the end of the day. Like
Wow.
what?
And he's like a statue. I mean, like a Greek Adonis. All right, you rank them then because I'm having trouble. Am I wrong in saying Cardinals, Rams? Should it be Rams, Cardinals?
I tell you what, I wouldn't be mad whatever way you put them.
Okay.
I think I do. How about this? Cooper
This
Kupp
is the best division. Is this the
Cooper
best division?
is a bad mofo. I think it's between this division and the AFC West. The AFC West, I think, has some good competition. I would just narrowly put the Cardinals number 1, but just narrowly, I really do think DeAndre is so special. I don't know how much AJ Green has left in the tank. Probably not much at all.
None.
But Marquise Brown, Rondale
Obviously.
Moore, I think both of those 2 guys are really fast, really good players. So I'll put them number 1. Number 2, I put Rams. And again, it's basically like 1A, 1B.
Yeah, almost tied. It's like a tie.
I wouldn't care who you put first. Brandon Ayuk, a lot of people were really high on him coming out of Arizona State. He hasn't really lived up to that potential. Deebo Samuel, they don't know if they're going to pay him before the start of this season. So we really don't even know if he's even going to be on that team this year. So for that reason alone, for Deebo Samuel basically being the only big name on that list.
And running back.
Yeah, I go Cardinals 1, Rams 2, I go Seahawks 3, I go 49ers 4.
Okay.
I Rams 1, Cardinals 2, Seahawks 3, and 49ers at 4 as well.
Yeah.
So I think this is we're gonna definitely take 2 out of this division for our top 10 kind of thing. We're gonna take. All right, so here we go. Here are our number 1s. Number 1 is the Bills, the Bengals, the Jaguars, the Chargers, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Cardinals, the Bucks. And that's all right. So those are our number 1s.
So let's do elimination first. Let's eliminate some of the teams that we don't think we're going to put number 1. I know none of us are going to put the Jaguars number 1, right?
Correct.
Right. Yeah, they'll probably be the
no one's putting the Jaguars number 1.
Smart.
Even though I do like that squad, I don't think any of us are putting Philly number 1, right?
Right.
I'm not.
Oh yeah. Well, but I put them in the top 10.
So go through each of them and let's take out some of the ones that we know that we can eliminate. So
right,
Jaguars,
I think we can eliminate the Jaguars. I think we can eliminate. Here's like my top 10. And I don't know if it's in this order, but I'm going to tell you this is I think that you're talking to I like the Chargers, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Rams. Those to me, I feel like have to be in the discussion for top 10.
Yeah.
So we agree on those, right? We agree that Cardinals, Rams, Raiders, Chargers should be in there. I think then you go to the question is, do you think that the Bengals and
they're my number 1.
Wow. Okay.
I would have them very, very high on that list.
And then my last question to you about this is just to kind of sift through some of it is do you have the Eagles and the Bills who's higher, Eagles, Bills, or Bucks?
I would say that the Bucks and the Eagles probably outrank the Bills, huh?
Wow. And then maybe on the outside, you're going to put Miami potentially. What about the Vikings? How about this? Is Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen?
That's
better.
a good
So
one.
we got one right now. I've
Yeah,
got
I
this
would.
is
Who would you take? Minnesota's receiving core or Buffalo's? See, I think
Minnesota.
I'd say I'd say Minnesota.
wow, yeah.
And like Stephon Diggs might. So just how you were saying, Devontae Adams might be the best. I think Stephon Diggs might be the best, but because it's just him, I think we could probably bump them from the list.
Here is our the top 10, and not in this order. Okay, Chargers, Raiders, Cardinals, Rams, Bucks, Eagles, Vikings, Bills, Bengals, Dolphins.
See, I don't know, man. I'm not cool putting the Dolphins all the way up in this discussion.
On Tyreek.
I mean,
Waddle
listen,
and
incredible,
Tyreek Hill is just like Devontae Smith, and I think it's like
it's good.
Tyreek Hill is a top 5 receiver in the league.
Yeah, but it's basically how much do you think of Jalen Waddle? He did have 1,000 yards.
Yeah, rookie,
His
1,000
first
yards.
year.
Like why? That's like, I mean, you think so much about the Bengals guy. Wouldn't you say he comparably had a similar type season? Who was the Bengals rookie?
Jamar Chase. No, Jamar Chase had one of the best seasons that a rookie receiver has literally ever had. From a statistics point of view,
yards? He had 1,455 yards.
Jamar
Jamar Chase had 1,455 yards, 81 catches, 13 touchdowns, and then who I say, Jalen Waddle. Now I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to say he's better. Waddle's better, but like I think we might be sleeping on Waddle some, is what I'm saying. Jalen Waddle with a how do you spell his fucking name? Excuse me. And go ahead and start. Waddle? We're gonna go ahead and work on next. We got to pick our team, and then we'll do some calls too. He had 20 more catches than Jamar Chase. He had 104 catches, 1,000 yards now, so he had a less yards per catch, and he had half as many touchdowns. I don't know. Tyreek Hill. Are you saying Jamar Chase is better than Tyreek? Wow.
Well, I mean, we're talking about receiving core. I mean, obviously Tyreek has done it a lot longer at a higher level, but I think if we're talking about just receiving core, when you put T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, like, to me, those are both of those guys. Like, a few of these teams have, to me, 2 number 1 wide receivers. I think the Bengals have 2 number 1 wide receivers. I think the Chargers have 2 number 1 wide receivers.
Yeah.
I think the Rams. I mean,
the Raiders.
I think Devontae Adams is clearly the number 1.
He's the number 1. He's the best in the league.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, there are teams that I think you can make a case for one of 2 players being the number 1 wide receiver, right? So even
Miami's
like
that team.
No, I just don't.
Right. Okay.
I don't.
All right. Here.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Miami on the bubble.
They are definitely. How about this? There's no reason for Tua to not be able to have success with those weapons around him.
Do you like the Cowboys better than them?
Than who?
Than the Dolphins?
Yes.
CD Lamb.
Yeah, probably
and
so.
Michael Gallup. Wow. That's crazy
Michael
to me.
Gallup.
I think there's like so much Tyreek slander here.
Well,
and I mean, do you like the Seahawks or the Panthers ahead of them? I don't know if I'm ready to go there.
No, definitely not Seattle.
Okay.
For sure.
All right, fun discussion.
Seattle.
That was fun, neat time.
Yeah.
All right, let me go ahead and
Wait, who's your number 1? Everybody just pick your number 1 real quick.
Bengals.
Yeah, CK said Bengals. Tony, if you're picking one out of all those, who you picking?
I think I'm gonna say Miami. Maybe Chargers.
Chargers. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. That's
the Cardinals are up
that's
there
one
right
hell of a
now,
team.
man. I want to just
By
see
the
what
way-
Hollywood Brown can do with. We got to see some of these guys. We also have to see in their new offenses.
Dude,
Yeah.
I said this on Twitter a few months back. I think Odell Beckham Jr. would be the perfect addition to the Chargers. If you add him to that team.
Yeah, because they're kind of two big body receivers, so a more fluid.
And you're not going to ask
Working
him to be a
space
number
guy.
one receiver. Yeah, you're going to ask him to just get open, and he's going to do that. Dude, that would be and you would have Herbert throwing him the ball. Dude, that would be a nightmare scenario if that happened. But
All right, you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can go ahead and call into the show at 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Hold on, I gotta download this cat calls. What is today? It's the 5th. Sorry, I've been feeling like I over celebrated America's Independence Day yesterday. While part of the internet has continued to tell us why we shouldn't celebrate the country, I made up for all of them. And I celebrated way into the wee hours of the 5th. All right, 2 seconds. Carry me for a second while I just.
hey, it's not your fault that people hate freedom. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? You feel me? It's not your fault, bro.
You feel me?
My neighbor, he puts on a big fireworks show every year. He bought these big dragon-looking things, and we set them off in the street.
Nice.
They're illegal here.
Yeah, they're illegal here in North Carolina too. So,
Are
Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah, anything that shoots up into the sky is illegal. Any projectile.
Yeah, same here. I thought we could get to North
snakes and
but you might be
sparklers only.
But
Yeah.
it's so
Snakes and
stupid because South Carolina,
Carolina's illegal.
dude, you could buy fucking every firework imaginable. And so all you have to do is just cross the border.
They
Have you
only
seen
do
that?
it because they know they're going to make so much fucking money off
From people coming out of this. And I think Georgia, you can't sell them either. So both of the bordering states, you have to go to South Carolina to get fireworks.
Have you seen that? I love that video of the guy in the wheelchair where they set off the
Terry?
firework and it's like battery dies on the chair or something, and he just
Terry!
it just sits there. All right, let's go ahead and get into the call.
Did you see my tweet about that yesterday?
No, I didn't.
So maybe after this we can play the video and I can add some. We'll do that. Let's do some calls and then after that I'll play the video.
Here we go.
Are we supposed to be hearing something?
You can't hear it?
Nope.
No.
Nothing?
Nope.
No. But hear you. It's no cat calls.
What? Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, no cat. Hold on.
Put hog in the cat calls, Tony.
I don't know what's going on. It says it's pumping through. It says B channel. Lord. Oh, you know what? I know what it is. Give me just a second while I change my microphone settings and StreamYard.
Chat room. How was your 4th of July, man? Did y'all have a happy?
Pull up the video.
The Terry thing.
Here we
which
go.
one?
I got it.
What video?
It. Yeah,
there's lots of videos on the.
I thought that's what you were saying. The Terry thing. Here, I think I got it right now.
Yeah, we'll play that in a minute. But
you can still hear me?
Yeah,
I hear you.
All right, let's see this.
Baker. Clarify one thing.
Hey, can you restart it? Yeah, restart it.
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Yeah, there we go.
So, how do you think cackling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, what's good, fellas? This is Corey calling in. Wanted to follow up. I think it was last week's call that I had talking about Baker. Clarify one thing. The stat that I gave out, is 250 yards a game average. So Baker Mayfield has not averaged more than 250 yards passing a game since his rookie year. That was his most explosive season, I guess, passing the ball, you could say. Y'all should know me better than that. Obviously, I ain't gonna come up on here and just say some stats that ain't true. He's thrown for 300 yards. But my point is that he's not the type of player that pushes. Like he's not an explosive player. Like he's a quote unquote dink and dunk quarterback that struggles with accuracy. And I didn't even say that stat. It's not even like a cherry picking stat. More so, I think it kind of encompasses the kind of player that he is. Now, somehow Cam Newton got involved in the comparison. Now, obviously, they're not the same kind of player. Nobody's gonna compare apples to apples with Baker and Cam. But Cam, he's another guy who didn't throw for more than 250 yards a game after his rookie year. He had the exact same thing as Baker. The difference between Cam, obviously, we can point to Cam struggling with his accuracy. We can point to Cam not always having the best passing numbers. But the same people that, we deal with all those people saying shit like that all the time. We can always go back with, what Cam's impact of the game is. He was throwing to fucking receivers at the recycling bin. He's our best running back, all these different things. But it's like with Baker, he struggles with accuracy as well. Like, throwing for 60% in 2022 in this era of the NFL is not good. You need to be up close to 65, 67. Like, those are what the top guys in the NFL accuracy wise are throwing. Like 60%, that shit ain't cutting it no more. So we're talking about a guy who doesn't have the physical tools that can make up for his inabilities, right? So he's not big, he's not strong, he's not fast, he doesn't run around, and he struggles with his accuracy. Now, that he's not terrible, like I'm saying, I'm not saying all this is just shit on Baker Mayfield, because he's almost like the definition of a mediocre quarterback. But his biggest thing is consistency. He struggles putting the ball in the right place consistently, and he doesn't put up big numbers. His interception to touchdowns is always like close together. He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not the guy that we need. That was my biggest point. But honestly, I think everybody's kind of on the same page. We're just kind of splitting hairs when we get to the Baker talk. I think honestly, at the end of the day, man, we just ready for this shit to go one way or the other, man.
Amen, dude.
I want to know either what we're working with, like going forward with him or without him. I'm tired of the chicken games, man. But hopefully we can make the right decision. Y'all keep coming out with a great comment.
Yeah, great.
Shout out. Was that Jay? That was Jay Anderson?
Corey. That's Corey.
Corey. Yeah, shout out Corey, man. Dude, your call was awesome. I thought it was awesome last week, dude. To me, it baffles me that people think that Baker Mayfield is the answer. It really does, man. Context is key. Yeah. You can't dismiss all the talent. Say what you want about the Browns. There was good talent around Baker Mayfield for a long time. And if you want to say
eighth ranked offensive line in the NFL last year.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they have a good offensive line, and Baker Mayfield doesn't have any elite traits. He doesn't have an absolute cannon for an arm. He's not overly mobile. He's got a lot of things that I really feel like don't translate well if the game is on the line. And I think that matters, and that's something that the Panthers have not had in a very long time. And I'm not into trading for another quarterback a third year in a row. It's tiresome, man.
I agree. All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey, guys. It's Friday, June 1st. I'm listening to you guys' podcast. I always said that it takes me a few days to go through. This is Baby Rhino. You guys are talking about Deshaun Watson. I don't know why I just thought of this. I don't know if anybody's even addressed this, but there's got to be a reason why Deshaun Watson and his camp asked for guaranteed money. There has to be a reason, because they either knew that this was going to continue and that he wanted to be set, or he just, I don't know. It just seems planned to me. Let me know what you guys think about that. It's just a thought. Take it easy.
Well, I think that everybody, the kind of trend, if you look at the other leagues who have stronger player like collective bargaining agreements, they get guaranteed money. They get a bigger part of the share of the pot of money than the NFL does, right? So NBA contracts are fully guaranteed, right? I think they get that like super mega the max pay contract stuff. Baseball contracts are fully guaranteed. You see like absurd numbers. Yeah. And I think there's been sort of a trend towards that, like they're trying to do that in the NFL, and I think the NFL is trying to steer clear of it, right? Like they're doing their best, organizations are doing their best to avoid it. Now, we've seen a couple of instances where it's happened. Kirk Cousins was one of the first people to do it. Now Deshaun Watson. The guaranteed money is crazy, right? It's like, and this is what's driven me nuts about the Deshaun Watson thing is like, not only is all of this happened, but he got traded. There's almost no punishment. It's just been reward, right? I mean, he had a financial windfall. He had a bonanza by getting all of this. So that was crazy to me. I think Deshaun Watson is that when it's like the opposite of Baker Mayfield at this point is Deshaun Watson could get whatever he wanted because he had multiple people trying to get him. And Baker Mayfield can't get anything he wants because nobody wants him.
Dude,
you almost wonder if the Browns, though, if there's an argument to be made that they're financing his settlements.
I think so, but listen, I feel like people are talking about, oh, the Browns must be regretting all this. Dude, if he only ends up getting 8 or 12 games, like they're kind of saying he will, this whole thing was a part of their plans from the beginning. It was worth it for them. They knew that there was going to be some kind of suspension. Again, Deshaun Watson could be an absolute trash, terrible human being, and he's still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And, it just goes to show, like,
I got to see it again.
The only thing that matters, I'd put him up there as with Russ or better. I mean, Russ has a Super Bowl, but
we can't hear you, CK.
I don't know if I'd have Russ at top 5 either, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I just think this is like I always talk about recency bias in the NFL. I need some recency bias though on this. Like I need to see Deshaun Watson play again. Like, that's it.
After all this,
it's been a while. So
and you've got to keep in mind too, right? The track record with the massage therapist. Granted, do I think he's going to turn around and be in this type of trouble? No, but it leads to a serial sexual offender of some sort. Like there's something more wrong with him than they're letting on, right? Like the idea,
or maybe he's like a sex addict.
That's what I mean.
I'll tell you what's wrong with him. I tell you exactly what's wrong with him. You do this 70-something times and you never have sex,
dude.
What is that? It's like,
dude,
nah.
Here's the thing.
He did with some of
it, and he's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to cheat on my girlfriend, but if you just watch me jerk off, it'll be great.
Here's the thing: is if it's that in depth, like if he needed to do this, and do the massage therapist avenue, the dude could have just gotten on Instagram and gotten any girl. Like, dude's a highly sought after quarterback, right? He could have just walked downtown and found a girl.
He's just gotten prostitutes,
right? So the dude has the capability of doing that.
Famous.
Right.
So
but like the fact that he went the route that he did tells me that there's something deeper mentally that's going on with him than just
fetish.
Yeah, and that doesn't go away because he got caught.
He's got a fetish.
Sorry.
It's 100% a fetish. It's and CK is right. If he wanted to have any woman in the world, he could. And by the way, if you see his girlfriend, she's drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, she's a smart
so he definitely has a particular thing about massages.
Yeah.
And
like
it's
maybe this is gonna be, maybe this is the one. I don't know. It's just strange to me. Like, just go get laid, dude. Next call.
Hey everybody, it's Dave Lincoln calling from North Alabama. Middle of a rainstorm. So hopefully everyone on the show had a good Fourth. I know I did, and it's good to have a Fourth in this country and not overseas. Thank you, military. Haven't heard any ginormous news coming from the front office or anything. Sounds like we're still in the Baker fight. I don't want us. Please no. I don't want cancer in the locker room. Please no. Let Sam and Matt Corral duke it out and see who wins. I know this is a See-Through Panther podcast, but man, college football is shaking up, which will likely affect the pros in some way, shape, or form. So I would like your guys' opinion on that maybe later. I don't know any other questions or any other concerns, but keep pounding everybody.
Cover me for a sec.
I hate college football. And when I mean I hate college football, I love to watch. Like, I like watching it. I don't follow it as nationally. It's kind of too big for me. One of the things that I like about the NFL specifically is like the teams have manageably sized rosters that have a core group of players that are around long enough to know them. So I know some of the stars for other teams. Is that with college football, there's just so much natural turnover by new kids coming, kids leaving.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's so many teams, and then there's the rosters are like almost triple the size or double the size of an NFL roster. It's like so overwhelming to me. So with college football, I try to just key in on my college team, the ECU Pirates, right? Yeah. What is infuriating about college football right now to me, and I don't know, I haven't formulated my whole opinion, but the whole super conference stuff that's going down, where now we're potentially going from the Power 5, which is not going to be called the Power 5 anymore, but we went BCS to the Power 5. Now it's going to be like the Super 4 or something. I mean, whatever they're going to call it next. But they're trying to consolidate even more into these 4 mega conferences. And it's irritating to me. And the reason it's irritating to me is because it's so money based. Right. And maybe that should, but I like, for all those years that people told us that you should never pay college athletes, the NIL is going to ruin it, like all of this or whatever, name, image, like all of this. Oh man, they get an opportunity to get a great education and a scholarship and all of this. It's all money, right? Like, it's like the whole thing is about money. So like the people that touted that, right, that like virtue signaled the scholarship. Yeah. These places are bazillion-dollar organizations. I just like, it's almost to the point, and because I work in education, I work at a collegiate level, is I almost just feel like they shouldn't even call it college football anymore. Like, it's like, or like it's like sponsored by this college.
Well, I mean, it's semi-pro football,
right?
It's semi-pro football. And listen, I'm all for it. Like, I'm to the point where change is inevitable. It's just inevitable, and there's no way that you're gonna get around it. And by the way, Tony, I used to be like you. I've never told the story how I got into college football. I might not do it tonight, but I got into college football after I got into the NFL, and I remember I used to think the same thing as you. Like, nah, I'd rather see professionals play, the very best of the best. And college football wasn't my thing, but when I became interested in it, dude, it's easy to see why people prefer it. There's an energy and a feel to the rivalries of college football and the atmosphere.
Oh, sure.
And dude, it's just so fun, man. And when you get into it and when you actually have a team that you love, and dude, it just gets so much fun.
Well, it's easy to say that too when you had a team for the last 10 years that's been a national championship contention. Now the hard part is this. You're talking about here is if we should go to the SEC or not and things like this. You know what? It was a lot more fun to have this conversation on this podcast in 2015 where we're winning every game. right? So you got to think too from the perspective of like, and I'm just saying college football is just so much to follow. Like it's just so much. There's so many teams. There's so many players.
Yeah.
It's hard to just keep up with it. On top of that is just like right here is my alma mater, ECU, has a rich kind of history of football, right? Is like we are a team that has not had the talent and the resource, or like we don't get the top recruits. We don't have the resources and the facilities and all of this. And somehow we've had some remarkable kind of teams come through here. And we got a great atmosphere, right? Like this place gets lit where it used to when it was full. We've had a kind of a starving period, which has been tough. But, we've had look, Chris Johnson went to ECU. He's like arguably had one of the best seasons in the history of football for a running back. He had 2,500 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards. I mean, like, what the hell? He had 3,000 yards that season. You had we had Dwayne Harris. We got the list goes on from David Garrard to Jeff Blake. So the only thing I hate is it just feels like this now. College football, the big fish have taken up all the resources for the little fish. Right. And that's just the tough part is like, it's neat. I bet you it's neat to have a team that could potentially win the national championship. The ECU Pirates could go undefeated and
never make the playoff.
Yeah, never make the playoffs. Yeah. And if they did, still get stomped.
But Tony, that's
is an example of this.
But Tony, that's changing too. That's not about to be true either. Because another thing that's kind of around all of these decisions being made around college football is that it's inevitably going to expand the playoffs to 8 teams. So now you're gonna, I feel, start to see more of those teams that if you did put together, like a few years back, UCF, University of Central Florida, they went
where they had the parade.
They would
have gotten murdered. They would have gotten murdered by
that was
so I
proven
think that expanded to 8
year.
It's cute, but it's also it's not like March Madness where there is like a Cinderella story. It's too difficult. These big giant schools are able to get so like their worst. They have like we've ever had like a 5-star recruit at ECU. I don't even think. You know what I'm saying? The only one was somebody who got in trouble and transferred here. It's like, so is that you're always the underdog, but it's fun. It's still fun. I like it. I like it. But what I don't like is to see conversations of teams like Carolina, Clemson. Like I feel like the ACC is supposed to be a good conference. The ACC is supposed to be a good conference, and especially what I get sad about is the ACC has historically been the best basketball conference in America, right? It hasn't been the best for the last couple. It's more parity the last few years. But when I see Carolina, their football team sucks, dude. Without Julius Peppers and Lawrence Taylor. These guys haven't been anything. They are a wine and cheese factory.
They have better these last few years, but yeah, for the most part,
their fans stink. They're what pussies now, but still, like their basketball history. It would be crazy to see Carolina not in the ACC anymore.
Yeah. So, by the way, that's all the rumors. Is that now the SEC? So, by the way, just to kind of like tell everybody what exactly we're talking about. So it was put out today that the Big 12 is in deep discussions to add 6 teams to their conference. And they're all from the Pac-12. It's Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Oregon, Utah, and Washington. So it's looking like the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC, they're essentially going to make these super conferences. Well, there's even rumors now that the SEC, they're going to reach out to Clemson and Florida State and, Virginia Tech and try and get more of the ACC schools into the SEC. And by the way, if you're Clemson, you're going to do it because it's literally the difference between making, $35 million in TV deals versus $100 million that you're going to make from being in the SEC. That's money that's going to go towards your, all of your facilities and, everything, building the college up. It's all about money, like you said when you started talking about it.
Is the TV revenue, though, a potential bubble that could burst? Because, I just wonder I know the TV deals have been so lucrative, and maybe it's just a shifting landscape. Maybe they just will continue to be lucrative, but instead of it being television, it's like Amazon, Apple, right? So you're still consuming the product. It's just like it's still going to be put on a television in a bar, but it might just be via the internet versus the airwaves or direct TV. But it almost seems like, too, is that they believe that there's an endless money pot for sponsors. Like, you almost just wonder, how is it that the NFL... Yeah, I guess people are going to watch. People are going to watch. They just got to make sure that they find a way to own that delivery system, right? Is how do we make it? I just kind of think of it like this. Is it kind of like what happened to the music industry? The golden era of the music, like when artists made the most money, is also when the record labels made the most money. And it was when they sold physical albums. Now, the artists make money differently. It's by playing shows and getting live audiences and
merchandise and concerts.
Yeah. It's not like
Spotify
streaming.
Well.
Yeah.
Well, Spotify,
but they don't make. But artists, they don't make shit off of Spotify
in comparison to what they used to make per album.
Well, but even the biggest, even if you're the most listened to artist on Spotify, that check that you're getting from Spotify is not very big. It's not crazy. Or most of that money goes to the labels. But
interesting.
To the football point, though, it's like football is such an institution. You know what I mean? Just even during pandemics and all this shit,
no, it's
the
just
NFL,
sacred.
The NFL just kept rolling along, dude. And again, you have to think, a lot of these college teams, they have been around there are some that have been around 50 years longer than some of the oldest NFL teams.
Right.
You're talking about colleges that go back 150 years or some crazy shit like that. So, it's so deeply entrenched. And by the way, if you add more playoffs, that's even more games, that's even more sponsorships, that's even more money for the players making NIL deals. And it's there's so much money going around that, change is inevitable. And the money is going to continue to be what pushes all this change. And, it does not look like this is going to dry up anytime soon.
Have you heard anything about the NFL potentially expanding? I know we've had continued conversations in the past years about them trying to get more of a footprint in further into North America, Mexico, London.
You mean expansion teams?
Yeah, is that it seems like Robert Kraft is, it says, this is an article on Bleacher Report, and it says New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft pushing for the NFL to expand to London. Seems a perfect opportunity to play. They said this is so that would be it, right? No secret, the first franchise relocation is headed for Los Angeles. For that reason, will take at least 2 billion owners to get fed up with local governments. Minnesota, maybe. So they're asking this is will there be new teams in it? And I think that would be hard. You'd have to add 4.
Yeah, but
and add 1 to eat. Yeah. You have to create a new division. How would it even work? How would you add enough for it works with the teams, 4-team divisions? You would probably have to get rid of divisions and go to conferences.
But dude, they keep on doing this thing where they float out London as being possible for having a team. Dude, I just don't know how you do that. What division do you put them in? 2, you're talking about the jet lag. You're talking about, dude, I read an article last year that talked about all the different things that would actually go into putting a team in London. And, dude, it's a logistical nightmare. I just don't know how they're going to continue to do that and have a schedule where the players, not only for the London team, but for the visitors that are in division, that are having to go over there. I don't know how
night.
you do
That's
it.
a nightmare. But you could do like Austin. You know, there's
Yeah.
there's Austin, San Diego, are teams that are cities that could be. But I still think it's like, how do you add to the NFL? Right? It's like it's like a perfect amount of teams. It's even. It's equal.
I mean,
I
how did they do it before when they added the Panthers and the Jags? I think
right.
that I think
they
that
had to reorganize it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. I think it's a task. And I don't know, like, here's the thing is we're in such a giant, I mean, I guess such a connected world. I think it would be hard to get people to want to be a fan of a team nowadays. Like in the 90s, it wasn't going to be difficult because access to information was a little more limited. Now it's not. I think people, if they're interested in watching football, they're going to watch football and they've already got their team that they want to follow. I don't know that a new team is going to impact the way the world works, in the current landscape of fandom.
I wonder what would be the incentive too for the owners to say we want to split the revenue more.
Probably more. Doesn't it always just equal more money for them down the road? Like, yeah, they're splitting more, but it's more games against more teams. There's still going to be by the way, there's still going to. So if you're the away team and you're selling tickets, you're still getting a part of that money when tickets are being sold, even at opposing team stadiums. So I would imagine that if they would do it, there's going to be enough financial upside for them to be like, yeah, sure, we'll do this. Yeah. But I don't know. Have you heard anything? Like, I haven't really heard anything major about this.
Yeah, I've heard some people saying there's murmurs that expansion could be like on the horizon for the NFL.
I do kind of have some breaking news. It's not really breaking. It's about an hour ago. So today, Ian Rappaport was talking about Baker Mayfield, and he said the Seahawks do not want Baker Mayfield, that they just do not want him. Well, Josina Anderson is coming out directly refuting this, saying this is inaccurate, though I can see why it may be necessary to float this now. One, in case the Seahawks don't get Baker Mayfield. Two, because if number one happens, it helps to manage the path ahead with their current situation. Three, they're still trying to figure out how I know and heard this shit. So I believe that. I've long believed that Seattle was the most thirsty for Baker Mayfield, but I also don't believe that they would just put that out that, we don't want him, we don't need him. And even if they did, like Josina said, it's only to manage the narrative that, like, we never really intended to get Baker Mayfield. So, we don't.
Her nails are so long. She has Edward Scissorhand nails, dude. Like I've seen, like I saw her on TV the other day, and it was just like, like how do you?
Yeah, I can see him in the. I can see him in the.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going with these calls.
Yo, C3 Panthers podcast. What is up, Cody, Greg, CK, and Tony Dunn? Man, this podcast brings me so much joy on Tuesdays and Fridays, getting to talk about what is my first love in my life, my Carolina Panthers. Growing up as a fan since I was 4 years old. And, man, we in this QB carousel still don't know what we're going to do. Baker Mayfield rumors will not go away. They are coming back, and now that Seattle has said they have no interest in him, I am starting to get scared. Because, as I said, I am on the neutral side. I'm all for Corral, baby. At Cody Lashney, I'm all for Corral. But listen, if we want to win some football games this year, maybe Mayfield does give us the best shot. I'm still so confused with the whole plan of what we're trying to do and what's going on. Training camp's around the corner. But, yeah, man, keep pounding, and I'll see you guys.
All right, man. He's got
keep pounding.
What's up, C3? I just called in a little part 2 of my call. I know Tony doesn't like when I add a couple extra parts to my calls, but I gotta get out what I gotta say, man. The last thing I want to say is, please, one of you 4 people on the podcast, or how many people are doing it tonight?
answer this question for me. With the quarterback room right now, how many wins do you project for this team? Because I've been getting into so many arguments with people on Twitter calling me a dumbass, saying that 3 wins is not a possibility. We aren't this bad, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at the schedule, and no one can deny this schedule is a lot more difficult than last year. I mean, we're facing a lot of offensively dominant teams with good-ass quarterbacks and good receivers and this and that. So, I mean, man, you tell me right now. I'll tell you what my prediction is. 3-14 with Sam Darnold and Corral. Prediction that Sam Darnold will get benched week 3 and Corral will take over. But with Baker Mayfield, I'm projecting 9 wins. And the reason I am is because y'all make Sam Darnold to look. Y'all talk about Sam Darnold as a middle-of-the-road pack quarterback. Well, I'm here to tell you he's not. He is a backup. He is a ring pop at your local CVS. That is what he is. Baker Mayfield may be a mocha frappuccino, but I'd rather have a fucking mocha frappuccino than a ring pop. So you tell me. Keep pound.
Yeah, not a big fan of ring pops for sure.
So
mine is 6. I think we're a 6-win team. And I think it's because our coaching staff improved. And our offensive line has improved.
Like, dude, I don't like these questions. I don't like them. And the reason why I don't like them, shout out to Anthony. I mean, Anthony's my guy. Comes on Friday free for all. We go back and forth on Twitter all the time. But I just don't know what I don't know. So, okay, yeah, I don't have a lot of reason to believe in Baker Mayfield. I mean, Sam Darnold, rather. And no one does. And we know this. But I don't know who Matt Corral is. And I don't know that an NFL schedule and that this NFL playbook is too big for him. I don't know that. It might be easy to assume that. And yeah, he's a rookie in the NFL. There's no doubt that he's going to make mistakes and that he's going to make some boneheaded rookie moves that you would expect from a rookie. But with that said, I feel like this offense can be very easily managed by a quarterback that gets the ball out quick, we're running the football, and can pick times to chuck it downfield with enough arm talent. Right. I feel like Matt Corral is all of those things. So I don't know how many wins I think that we're going to be good for this season. If you're just saying Sam Darnold, yeah, I think we're probably the same record that we were this year, probably 5 or 6 wins. And that's if Sam takes even a marginal step forward.
I think, look, is that the first way to answer this question, or I think we could think about it is the team better this year, better poised to win on any given Sunday this year than it was last year? And I'm going to say yes to that question, right? Is that Matt Rule? No change in Matt Rule's status, right? So he's a wash, maybe even on the decline. But I think adding more experience coaching with Ben McAdoo in the offense, like it might not be, Ben McAdoo's not going to blow you away and be the best coordinator in the history of the world. But I think he's going to be competent enough to where the offense is not going to be as weird as it was last year, right? And I think inexperience was a big part of that. I think you add a lot of coaching hires here, like our special teams coach improved, our offensive line coach improved, Steve Wilt, secondary coach, improved, right? So I think our coaching staff is better this year than it was last year. I think our offensive line right now on paper and talent, and it just is better than it was last year. So I think with all of that, and I don't think that the defense is not as good as it was last year, but it's probably not a giant step backwards either. So I think the team overall, my answer to that question is better poised to win on any given Sunday. So I don't see us necessarily like even with Sam Darnold being 3-14 necessarily. But when you look at the schedule, it's a brutal schedule. They got to go out and play the other teams. Now we're all basing it off of everything else. But really, like the easiest teams on our schedule, maybe you could say the Browns if they don't have Watson helps. But like you got the Giants in a complete rebuild mode. You've got the Saints. So the Giants and the Saints and the Falcons and the Lions and maybe Steelers, right? But other than that, like those are the other games are all fighting an uphill battle, man. You got to fight. You got to play the Cardinals. You got to play the 49ers. You got to play the Rams. You got to play the Bengals. You got to play a Ravens team maybe like could be in that conversation. Seahawks maybe in that conversation, but the Broncos, that's, you know, I bet you we're not favored in any games next year right now.
Right.
So I'm okay with is I could see us taking it. I've said 6. That's been my kind of prediction is 6 wins. I can see a world where 9 or 10 happens, and I can see a world where 3 or 4 happens, and it just all falls apart. But I think probably the safe is right in the middle of the road for me. So I'm saying 6.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that. But I just Baker Mayfield, everyone's thinking so short term. And that, we might be okay enough to have a good team this year.
Well, you could say he adds 3 wins to the team.
Well, yeah, everybody just wants to see the Panthers be a good team again.
Yeah.
And they want us to be a playoff contender again. But at the same time, I'm thinking about our future. And I'm thinking.
Man, go ahead, get that playoff noise out of your head, folks. Because, like, right now, unless we got to say that means you're going to sweep the Falcons. And that you're going to have to potentially sweep the Saints. Like you're going to have to win a lot of division games, and you might not be able to win your division to make the playoffs, but a lot of your money's going to be made in beating up the division and racking some wins if you want a wild card position.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't even think making the playoffs is a criteria for me of having a good season this year.
And by the way,
9 wins is a good season for us. And it probably still means a complete rebuild.
Sorry to say, 9 wins might be a playoff berth.
Wow.
Could be.
I don't know. Really? Maybe.
It could be.
I mean, you got to keep in mind, we've added the extra playoff team. And, the extra game doesn't necessarily bode well for a 9-win season. But, it definitely is in the cards when you look at, what happened last year with, or maybe the year before.
I just don't feel like the South is sending 2 teams to the playoffs this year.
I don't disagree with that. I don't think outside of Tampa, I don't see anybody stepping up and being a real juggernaut in this division or in this conference. But to the point, and here's the thing, it sucks. It's like I don't want to be this guy who is literally just playing it safe by saying like I could see us being a good team, I can see us being a bad team, but that is really where we're at. Like I could see us being a good team. I can see pieces and I see things that are leading to us being a potentially good team. I also can see us being a really fucking bad team. And that's because of quarterback questions, coaching questions. And there's still questions surrounding the offensive line. We believe on paper we've improved, but all in all, we don't know. We haven't seen this group play together under the coaching staffs that we have currently. There's just so much that we don't know. That's why it's so hard to say that, I don't think anybody should be calling anybody crazy for saying that we can be in a 3-win season. I don't think anybody should be calling anybody crazy who thinks we could possibly win 9 games.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Is like I see pathways to all 3 of those. And a lot of it has to do with injuries. A lot of it has to do with upside and you projecting players. A lot of it has to do with other teams you're facing, how good they are.
Right.
Let me ask you the hard question, Cody. If Carolina somehow goes and wins 10 games with Sam Darnold, somehow, right? I mean, don't say, oh, it's not going to fucking happen, this and that. You have to say, this is a possible world. How excited would you be next season? Just overall, like on this show on a daily basis, if we're coming out there with even Sam Darnold and slinging 10 wins, I gotta feel like is that like would that be enough to wash some of the stink of our pessimism away?
Maybe, but at the end of the day, like if you're saying Like, would I be excited about a future with Sam Darnold?
No, I'm saying this is just the excitement level of that season, where you're getting up here and happy saying we could go fucking win next week. You're like, you start getting to 8 wins and, you're like 8-6 or something like that. And you're like, oh, we got this. We're going to go.
I really
think 10's the number. I think 10's the only number that will make me go, wow, this is.
I'll be excited, but it won't be anywhere near as excited as if it's Matt Corral. Because if it's Matt Corral,
if you go and get 10 wins with Matt Corral, your excitement level is to the next. Dude, but I'm just saying, what if it was Sam Darnold? How about this? Is at some point there's a number that's a tipping point to where you have to go, all of my concerns about Sam Darnold are gone. Right. So if you go and win 12 games with Sam Darnold, you're sitting there going, you know what? We got it wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a number, and I think it's around that 10 mark.
Yeah. If he gets to that one, he's Alex Smith. I still want him out the door the next year. Like, that there really isn't going to be enough to change my mind. I'll say this. I'll be happy that our team is taking the step forward. Dude, I don't care how good of a quarterback you are. If you don't have that good team around you, you're not going to make it very far. Yeah. And I do feel like our team right now is built in a way where we don't have too many pieces that we need to fill out before we're a real contender. But, we need to add a few more. But we're not far away, man. So if we did that, it would tell me that our team and our coaching staff is closer to the point that we want to be at than we originally thought. And that's a good sign.
All right, next call.
What up, C3? JSU. Robbie Anderson has been in the game for years. He knows there's fans that will respect you, love you, hate you, in between. My take on Robbie is I respected him. I respected when we got him. It's just the situation that he came into. I mean, you got Sam Darnold, you got Matt Rule. Nobody knew who Matt Rule was until he showed his cards, and he's not a leader.
Yep.
Same goes for Sam Darnold. What I dislike about Robbie, and I don't want to see him as a kid, but he's acting like an angry-ass teenager, and I respect the hell out of him because, like he said, he didn't come on the red carpet. He says that he stays away from bullshit, but that's bullshit. It's his life. I don't want to run his life, but when you look at these players' posts and how they live, I respect them for having a girl and staying out the way, but you at clubs, anything can happen when you're out and about. He started dropping balls when him and his girl actually broke up. That was that year because I followed him when we picked him up. And once that breakup happened, that's when all the bullshit started happening. He started tripping on the field, dropping balls. So
imagine how a Robbie Anderson
what I wanted from Robbie
was
a vet standpoint as far as like wide receiver wise, which he played that position. But I just wanted him to stick with DJ. Him and DJ fell off. I'm sure people didn't know that, but I just don't like the attitude. I want to see my wide receivers grind. We just never had that. And DJ, he's a silent grinder, and he don't get much respect because he's not a loud mouth. Now, Robbie, I just feel so confused. But I got a lot more to go. But I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah,
Keep
I think
pounding.
all good things to consider. It's like Robbie Anderson. If he had 1,000-yard season, he's doing that. It's cute. You know what I'm saying? It's like, where's that bear doing? Well, that clip was so funny because he went out there and scored 1,000 yards. If he would have come in and not played at all, dropped the ball all that season, and been like, what, that bear? You don't even know what the playbook is. He would have said all this other stuff. I want to know what a fight with Robbie Anderson's girlfriend sounds like. How many times would he say, you feel me? To her, if he gets that emotional to the Twitter criticism, something really angry, be like, I pay the bills. You feel me? You feel me? All right, next call.
It's me, T-Dog, man. Just listening real quick while I'm on the blunt. But y'all talking about Robbie right now. And my thing is, everybody got to take it easy on Robbie. Robbie came here his first year, had a career year, breakout year, 1,000 season yards for season with Teddy Bridgewater. Now, you bring in Sam Darnold, his numbers drop, drastically. Now he got one more year with Sam Darnold. So, I mean, he's probably really, really frustrated because he left New York to get away from Sam Darnold, and now he's back here with him again. So you got to psych yourself up, You might need to go talk to DJ Moore. DJ Moore still puts up 1,000. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I don't know what might need to go have a talk with DJ. But maybe Matt Corral got them start the season off. I don't know, But you got to take it easy on Robbie, man, because you got to play with this Sam Darnold sorry ass, man. It's probably real frustrating.
Facts.
Especially, when he's a deep ball threat. And,
Imagine how Steve Smith felt in 2000.
Sam can't throw the deep ball. So, it's like, he's a Ferrari. The Ferrari came and got a gear with this quarterback that we have. I'm going to continue to listen to the show, man. Everybody, make sure when you come in this motherfucking goddamn show, man, make sure you wipe your feet on the motherfucking like button and make sure you motherfucking subscribe, man.
Beep, beep, beep.
Tell him, Dog.
Oh, yeah.
Tell him,
Thank
man.
you for your call. Thank you for support. Weekly listener, weekly supporter of all of our content, man. So we appreciate your time and your thoughts too. I think that is like sometimes we can just get irritated by Robbie Anderson's like Twitter speech. Like it's just like so bizarre. It's tough to deal with. So you can say all these things. But here, Todd Gurley said this once. He said, if you want to hoot with the Owls, you got to soar with the Eagles. And the idea is like you can go out and party and do whatever the hell you want as long as Sunday you show up and you put the numbers. So you can be a pain in the ass and irritating or whatever it is if you're winning and or putting up the numbers. So last year I think the production drop made it a little bit more difficult.
What's up? T3 is Noah here. It's so much stuff going on in Panther Nation. Freaking Baker Mayfield rumors is just not going away no time soon. I don't know what's going on in that situation. Robbie, I'm gonna give Robbie one more chance. He got one more chance. He may get on my good side this year, or whatever the football season starts. I think it's this year. But yeah, I just pray that we get the job done this year. But this season that's coming up and get us some more wins. That's what we already have, than last year. And, I hope we actually do get Baker Mayfield for some reason. I just have my gut feeling just saying, put some trust in him. But I do not want to get rid of Matt Corral. I do not want to get rid of him. Like, we need him. He's a key asset to our team. And, yeah. And our schedule is mid this year, kind of. Yeah, but keep pounding.
All right, man.
I'm out.
Noah, thanks for the call. One more. I think you got a part two.
Yo, C3 is Noah here again. I was just looking at the schedule, and, yeah, our schedule is not mid. It's kind of hard. I mean, we got the Saints, Patriots. We have a lot of hard teams that we got to go past. I don't think we're going to win a lot of games this year at all. If we even have Baker Mayfield, I don't think that we really have a chance, to be honest. Not this schedule. But keep telling them Noah's out.
All right. Thanks, Noah. That's the last call of the night. And Oh, we got to build our team real quick. I want to do that. You brought that up. Let's build our defensive team because I got my squad. I spend my $15, and then we'll ice some fools up. And if you guys got any last comments, then we'll get out of here. Thanks for all the support, people, calling in. Remember that number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We'll be back here on Friday and Tuesday, as always. Right now, it's build your own team. It's kind of, can we make it any bigger?
No. I'm trying.
Okay.
This is about as much as I can do.
All right, so here I can tell you the $5 players. All right, so we'll do the way this works is
Cody,
put out by Panther.
Those arrows up at the top, I think, should hide the right bar.
Shit!
Yeah, nice. All right, that is a lot better. All right, so you got this is put out by Panthers Wire. They last week we did this build your historical offense. The $15 to build your team. There are categories: $5, $4, $3, $2, $1. On the left vertical column, on the top horizontal, I guess that would be the x-axis. Edge, defensive tackle, linebacker, quarterback, one cornerback, and one safety. So, I got mine picked out. I am going to go Peppers and Kuechly. Like, I got to go ahead and spend. Last week, I picked two blue chip $5 players, just trying to go ahead, right? I can't justify really giving $5 for Chris Gamble or Mike Minter, even though they're good players. I don't know if they're $5 players. Chris Jenkins was probably a $5 defensive tackle, but still a defensive tackle. Peppers, legend, dude. Kuechly, legend. So, yeah, it's my $10 right there. Then I'm going to dip into defensive tackle. I'm going to slip down to the $1 and get Star Latulele. I think, there's good value there. Like there was good value last week with Steven Davis at the dollar category. Then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to skip to safety and pick up a dollar player as well with Trey Boston because I want to get Josh Norman. I can't afford Chris Gamble. I can't afford Eric Davis at this point. I'm going to get stuck. Ken Lucas was only good in Seattle. He wasn't ever good here. He got beat, he got nose broken training camp by Steve Smith. And I don't even remember Doug Evans. So I have a hard time remembering Eric Davis and Doug Evans. So Eric Davis must have been from the 90s.
If you don't remember him, I damn sure don't.
This is my squad. This is my squad. $5 for Peppers, $1 for Star Latulele, $5 for Luke Kuechly puts me at 11. Then I'm going to go with $3 and Josh Norman gets me to 14. And with my final dollar, I'm going to get Trey Boston. Love Mike Minter as a player. Love Chris Gamble as a player. Love Chris Jenkins as a player. That's why they're all up there. I think you overpay for K1 Short here. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of this is should I try to save some money in the linebacker column? Should I do something because look, Beeson, Davis, Dan Morgan, Sam Mills, all beast players, but Luke Kuechly is the greatest thing I've ever seen on the football field. So that's my team.
CK, you want to jump in there next?
Yeah, I'm gonna do my two $5 players are gonna be Chris Gamble and Julius Peppers.
Wow.
And Dan Morgan and Star Latulele are gonna be mine because I think those are steals at the $1 mark.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's going to leave me
12,
with Godfrey with my final for my safety.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's not bad. I like both of those. But I like mine better, dude, as always. Hey, how about this? Brian Burns for $1?
I know.
Dude, that's kind of criminal, huh?
No, not at all. When you look at the guys ahead of him, Pepper, first ballot Hall of Famer, Kevin Green, Hall of Famer, Mike Rucker was freaking incredible, and big money Charles Johnson. Okay. Damn, so you're going to go with Ballard?
If I couldn't,
so go ahead.
I was to say I was tempted to go Brian Burns, Star Latulippe, and Dan Morgan. But then I wouldn't have been able to spend all my $15. So,
Well, by the way, I don't think that you have to spend 15. I just think that you have $15.
Right, but
So,
if
for
I was
example,
gonna,
yeah,
if I was going to take if I was going to come away with money extra, I'm going to take the more dominant pass rusher at Julius Peppers, who is by far, at least early on in Julius Peppers' career, head and shoulders above what Brian Burns has been.
okay, all right.
He had 12
like
stacks in 12 games his rookie year.
Who
Julius
Peppers?
Peppers.
Yeah.
Yeah. He played
Yeah,
he was suspended for 4 games.
Denying the greatness of Julius Peppers, but I'm gonna switch it up here, man.
right.
I'm going Brian Burns. Number one, I'm gonna take Brian Burns for $1.
All right.
Then I'm going K1 short for $4. Okay,
right.
so that's 5.
I love KK.
I'm gonna spend another 5 on 59 because I gotta have my man Luke Kuechly, right? So, that's at 10 now.
Yeah.
I'm spending $3 on Josh Norman.
Oh, and you're gonna get.
And I'm gonna spend $2 on Chris Harris.
Okay. Interesting.
Now, originally I said Trey Boston, but just to spend all my money, I'll go Chris Harris over Trey Boston. So my final roster: Brian Burns, K1 Short, Luke Kuechly, Josh Norman, Chris Harris.
All right. That was fun. We got a lot done tonight. All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. The final segment of our show is the Ice Up segment, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. I'll open the floor to you guys. Anybody?
See here, you want to go first? I've got
Mine's just, again, obviously a attacking woke culture, but I had put one in the DMs about maybe last week. It was a picture of a guy who, it's a university ad, and this guy is like, it's clear that this guy is the middle of the conversation piece. Like, he's the one directing it. It's like clear all the women are paying attention to what this guy is saying. Well, somebody on Twitter wanted to post this and quote, "I didn't know you can get a master's in mansplaining." And it's just such a like.
Yes, you have. They've been doing it for 100 and for 5,000 years.
The thought,
master's degree in master.
Right. The thought
this
that
is the
I
photo,
have,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so like, and these are, by the way, the same people that are mad about gender and like all that stuff. And so like, I sent a message to the group and I said, I so badly want to respond by saying, did you just assign that man his own gender? Like, or did you just assign that gentleman or that person as a gender? Like, just because like those are the exact same people, right? That say like, this is mansplaining, but also you shouldn't assign people's gender, but you're assuming that he identifies as a man. So you're giving that person a gender by saying that. Like, it's just.
I see all women in that picture.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
And they're all beautiful and equal to one another in every single way.
But anyway, yeah, just my thoughts on that are just, that's irritating. But anyway, yeah.
All right. My ice up pick this week goes to this person. I'm going to leave him nameless in this conversation, who came over and hung out at our pool yesterday. And I've only met this person a couple of times, and he's always been nice to me in a way. Like, or in these 2 times, he's always been nice to me personally. But I gotta say, this is a weird, just a couple of weird things that have happened in like conversation openers this week with me and some people. And we're sitting there just hanging out, and he comes over loaded. I mean, loaded. And to the point where it was like, my wife was like, he keeps messaging her, coming like this and that. So my wife she doesn't say no, Anyway, so the dude walks in, first of all, struggling bus, like and it's like 3:00 in the. I was like, how do you get like this quick? Wearing a free hot dog shirt with an arrow down to his junk. Like, just bring your own buns. I was like, you can't make it up.
He really had that shirt.
Yeah. And he goes, so he's sitting there. I mean, he's just hammered, dude. And he goes, I know you're the same opinion of me as me. And I was like, all right. And he goes, shoot first, ask questions later. And I was like, well, actually, you don't know my opinion, bro, because I am like very anti-authoritarian. Like, I suspect all of these, and you generally have a lot of questions about the use of excessive force. But okay, and I was like, well, I'm actually not that. It's like, screw civil liberties, obviously. So I walk away. I'm trying not to do it. This other friend goes to him. He said, "What do you do for a living?" He goes, "I'm a paramedic." And well, he didn't say it that clearly at all. But I was walking back over at this point, and I thought this is like, give him a second chance here. And I said, "Oh, you're a lifesaver, not a life taker, right?" And he goes, "No, actually, all the good paramedics are the opposite." And I was like, "Wait a second. I ain't ever heard of someone who touted being a great paramedic."
Taking lives.
It's like,
The
I was
fucking
just like,
angel of
I'm not gonna
death.
save them. These people ain't worth it.
Yeah.
I was like, God. Like, so to homeboy paramedic, who's number one criteria, he's like, hey, in that class that where that man's playing, that man was telling them, is like, paramedics, a good paramedic leaves them all behind. Ice up. I don't even know what to say. It's like, I don't know what that means. I also had this, when I say weird conversation openings, I was at this establishment this week, and this guy, he's a friend of mine, and he's like also feeling right. And he comes up and he starts to talk, and no words come out. Like, he's like, and no words come out. So I was like, use your words. And he goes, "You've been married for a long time, haven't you?" I was like, "Yeah, man, 16 years. He's like, "So you've probably gotten a blowjob in AJ's bathroom before?" And I was like, "Whoa." I was like, "No." And then he goes, somehow he was using that to a parallel that he just walked in the bathroom and saw some girl to give him some dude a head in the bathroom. But I was like, why was that your springboard, bro? So to poor conversation openers, I say ice up.
Ice up.
Ice up.
Listen, like, where is this conversation going? But I don't know. All right, you're up, Cody.
So on 4th of July, there's a few traditions that we as Americans adhere to. We drink a few beers. We blow up a few fireworks.
Blow a few guys.
You know, to each his own. To each his own, you know. I don't judge over here. But one of the things, and one of the people who doesn't get enough credit as being a true American institution, an American pastime, and an undisputed GOAT is none other than Joey Chestnut.
This was great. He saved America.
Oh, dude, the official baddest man on the planet. I'm pretty sure this dude, he gets to run the president now. He's so cool. This dude is the very best eater in the world. He was doing the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Championship, and he's in the middle of the competition. He's at 17 hot dogs eaten, and this happens. A protester bumps him out of the way and gets up on stage trying to expose Smithfield Death Star, which is the meat packing company that like packs all Nathan's meats.
Yeah.
Well, in the middle of competition, this man, this legend, Joey Chestnut, said, "Fuck out of here with that dumb shit, bro," and put him into the fucking ground, turns around, and continues to win the fucking competition. Ladies and gentlemen, in your life, you might not see a more American thing in your entire life. Not only is this man eating more than any other person in the world, But get that protesting bullshit the fuck out of my face, dude. And that's Joey Chestnut for you. And that is
Look, there's more protesters in the background. They bump
legend. Yeah, and it was a whole big Star Wars thing. They were all wearing a stormtrooper mask and shit. It was a whole big to do, a whole big deal. But Joey Chestnut is a fucking legend. And shame on you for ever trying to interrupt the greatness that Joey Chestnut tries to achieve every single 4th of July. To those losers, ice up, son.
Man was playing injured. He was in a walking boot. Still dominating the competition. I mean, it's like an equivalent performance of Thomas Davis playing the Super Bowl with his arm all jacked up with the pins and stuff in it. It has a question, hot take. Has Joey Chestnut taken a step back as a competitive eater? I feel like 60 or 63 is lower. Then what was the last record? Like he was like at 80 last year.
No, I think the record that he's at is 76.
Oh, okay, he's taking a step back.
Yeah, but then again, like there's
nobody was close. Like the number 2 is like not even is like 34. Like he.
And by the way, his next best competitor, Matt Stoney, has a huge YouTube channel. He's like one of the biggest eaters on YouTube. Really? He's this little 5'7", 125-pound kid, and dude, you cannot believe the amount of food.
I know it's sick. You know what? It's like I really love Nathan's hot dogs. Like they're my top hot dog.
Yeah,
and I would say that like if you watch that, it might make you not want to eat hot dogs. It's like really great. It's kind of, I have a theory. Like I don't like buffets. I don't like going to buffets. It's just. I think they represent all that's wrong with America and overeating and like forces me to try to beat the buffet and just like waste.
I beat them.
It's just like waste, excess, all of this. So I'm not a big buffet, and I feel like competitive eating is also like very symbolic of like the waste and excess of. What's your favorite? You got a favorite eating competition number or anything? Because I do. Black Widow is this girl. She's a little Asian girl, and she holds the record for spaghetti, and she ate like 13 pounds of spaghetti. It's like, and she weighs like 110 pounds. It's like, how do you eat 10% of your body weight in spaghetti, dude? Like, and she's taking the plate and just like,
dude, it's eating. The YouTube eating space is actually very filled with a lot of different personalities. Like Daniel Castro in the chat says, there's a dude named Randy Santel. He goes all across America. And like, you know how restaurants do challenges?
Yeah.
Like, eat this big ass meal in under 30 minutes and you get it free, or else it's $50, you know? Well, he does a lot of them. There's a dude named Joel Hansen. He eats a ton of fucking food. Again, if you haven't checked out Matt Stoney, dude, Matt Stoney is incredible. Like, by the way,
who are these? Randy Santel, and Matt Stoney. I need some.
And Joel Hansen. Joel Hansen is another one that can just eat
gross me out.
Crazy food, dude. There's a guy named Beard Eats Food. He's from the UK. He puts down a lot of food too, but. That Matt Stoney dude, he has videos that are like 54 million views. Like, I'm talking crazy numbers.
Right.
And like he's not even in the realm. It's like the second grade. It's like Joey Chestnut is Wayne Gretzky. It's like the next guy is so far away from him. They're like not
he's
even.
Lapped him. It's like the second best. And by the way, if you go and look, like hot dogs is what he's most famous for. Nathan's is like the Super Bowl of eating every 4th of July. But like all these other world records, like fried chicken, Big Macs, all this other stuff, he has like world records in. That dude's insane.
Looks like this is, gosh, I want to see is Matt Stoney may have broken the pasta eating record.
Yeah, I know he has a ton of them. He has a ton of records. And by the way, one of the things you'll notice, the best professional eaters they're not big fat dudes. Because what you learn is the more fat you have around your midsection, the less room you have for your stomach to be able to expand. So it's normally the real skinny dudes like a Matt Stoney that are just able to put away just crazy. Like everyone knows that one skinny kid growing up that could literally eat whatever they wanted and never gain a pound. Like it's those type of people that are the best eaters in the world.
Okay, maybe it was 7 pounds by Black Widow, but Matt Stoney just broke the pasta eating 10 pounds in 8 minutes. He's also ate 12 pints of Ben and Jerry's to get himself back into eating shape. Oh my gosh. All right, that's the C3 Panthers podcast. Take us out of here, Cody.
Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, when we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for things to talk about, we'll be successful again next time. Keep pounding.